Okay, welcome everybody in to another stream. I guess we'll start calling these community spotlights where I am interviewing people from the good old YouTube. We'll start with YouTubers and then maybe go on to other facets of Magic the Gathering. But here is a awesome one for you today. This is Coach, aka the Card Bazaar. You can check out his channel in the link in the description below. Definitely go and subscribe. But Chad, or now I'm looking at the chat. Hey Chad, I'm saying hey Chad and then saying your name at the same time. So basically, I guess just start off by introducing yourself and what you do.
Oh yeah, sure. For those of you who are watching, I go by the name Coach on my channel, the Card Bazaar. And as far as my real life profession, I am an actual sports coach. I'm a football and track coach over at one of the high schools in the area that's close by. It's called Gregory Portland, also known as GP. And I've been a coach for this will be my 5th year coaching. And I play Magic, Dungeons and Dragons, do a whole bunch of nerdy stuff, just like anyone else in our little YouTube community. I kind of do it all. So, that's pretty much my little short career story so far. And for those of you who are watching, my channel focuses on the set histories of Magic the Gathering, which we started about a year ago. So that's what I do.
Awesome. So too bad I quit. We could be the coaches.
I know.
I think I was almost. Would have been my 4th year as a head coach, and then 5th year as a involved in the program, or actually 6th year involved in the program. But yeah, I rage quit swimming when it no longer was required of me to help out. So
I remember we talked about that back in November, and I remember us bringing that up with the stream and whatnot, or with the sports and whatnot. And I think you're the one that said, "Man, we are much more alike than what we already previously thought." We're way too much alike.
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so it was a fun little stint for me, but I don't know if I can say I miss it. I don't miss the drama, that's for sure. Working with teenagers, especially teenage girls, you don't have to work with teenage girls, do you? That's I guess.
When I was at my old job, when I was at TM, I was the head boys and girls powerlifting coach. So yeah, I had to deal with 14 through 18, and just all the awesome drama with that.
That's the devil. The age. That is something that I don't think I'll ever want to go back into. So even though I was the boys coach, but of course with swimming they both practice together and have meets together and travel together.
Oh yeah.
And everything. So
yeah, it was the same thing with us. So, but for me, my last job was pretty fun. But when Portland offered me the job over in their district, that's a very well-known school down in this area. So you don't pass up that job at all. So no, I had to take that job to move up with my career.
Well, so going on to the Magic the Gathering, what is your channel about? What do you do?
Well, my channel is mostly about the history of the sets. So we have a series called Card Anthology, which goes over each and every set of Magic. We try to do it in chronological order, with a few exceptions every now and then with holiday seasons or whatnot. For example, we did an episode over Innistrad for the Halloween season, and that was requested per Nizahone Magic over from his channel. So he was suggesting that I do a Halloween episode and do it over Innistrad. So that was his idea, not mine. I just had to do the work though. So he kind of helped me out a little bit, but with information, but it was still a pretty good episode. but I do the histories of it, and because there was one day we were starting out our channel, and I was just looking through like, oh, I kind of want to know more about like Magic's old school history, like where it came from and all that stuff. And there weren't really a lot of consistent videos that went along with like each set. So I had the crazy and probably ludicrous idea that I should do this because it looks nobody has done it. Nobody has done it in a consistent manner to where it has been binge watchable. So I took on the project of actually attempting that. So, and I say attempt, and we're like 40 something episodes into the Magic series, and we have we do two other card games. We do Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, which they're only like 4 or 5 episodes. But yeah, we pretty much do card history, essentially.
Yeah, and your channel's you've been doing this for quite a while, right? Are you coming on 2 years now, or?
It will be 2 years in August. So we're about to hit a year and a half, February 9th. How I remember that, I have no idea. And I remember this time last year, I was on John's channel. I was on John Dunning's channel over at They Said We Said, and
He's in the chat.
oh, is he? Oh my God!
Well, he was. I don't know if he skipped out. Where are you at, John? I saw him early on. There
dude,
he is.
I miss him. Like, granted, I've never met the man, but like, it's like we talk on the phone. Like, we used to talk on the phone like every now and then. I usually text him like once a week or twice a week just to see what he's doing. I guess ever since the burnout, I haven't texted him probably like a week or so. I'll probably do that. I bet you he'll probably text me in like 5 minutes to just say what's up. But yeah, I was on his channel like about a year ago. We were celebrating like 6 months, and we just hit like 1,000 subs, which was like, to me, was like, oh, this is like I'll probably not get much more after this. And now it's like triple that number. So it's been, I don't know, it's been a weird ride so far, but it's been a hard-working yet like enjoyable one so far. But
yeah, you're at 3,355. Jeez, that's
is that what I'm at?
yeah. That's a good number, and that's my advice to everyone that wants to start a YouTube channel. Just go for it. Find a niche and go for it. You've obviously found your voice. The videos are very, very well done. So if anyone is sitting on the fence, definitely go check out the channel if you're into the lore. Yours truly might be on it. I'm kind of embarrassed about it. Coach reached out to me back in December, and then I was just busy at the time, so I'm like, hey, I'll do it over Christmas break. Maybe I'll get some time. Then Christmas break comes around. Oh, too busy. And then I get sick in January, and then of course also with all the drama that's been going on in the community, I just completely spaced it. So I got the audio done, and hopefully I'll be able to, if Coach will have me, I'll be able to be on an episode.
Oh, you have a much better voice than I do, so we'll like. Quite literally, like every other person that has done this besides me, like has a better voice and has done it better. Like it's like whenever like John does an episode, it's like he is just so fluid with it, and it's like I wish I could talk like that. But I'm too I'm too robotic, and I'm like, oh, this is the history. Like I feel like I'm the Mass Effect narrator whenever you go into like the little codex, and that's how I think I sound. It's like very robotic and like what I'm doing in the history. And John just comes in and is like, whatever, we'll just talk, and like, okay. And he makes his audio sounds like most of the audio, like it sounds like stupidly good, and it's like I can't top this.
Well, everyone tends to hate their own voice, and if you think you're bad at reading a script, just wait till you hear my audio. I had to do so many takes. That's why it took me forever, because I literally read through it, and I finally just end up splicing things together, just doing a bazillion takes in a row. So
I know how that feels. That is, I don't know how many times I've thrown the F-bomb in my own house while recording a video, because I cannot, like, trying to read, like, there's some lines that I'll get it first take, and then there'll be like one word where I kind of like etch, like I gotta redo the whole thing, and then I try to redo it, and I mess up like 4 times or 7 times. Like, we're just gonna go back to that first one and just slice it, and just like, okay, it might sound a little off, but it's whatever. So, and then it's like you get to some sentences like, no, this is not going to work. So we're going to have to like rephrase this and just make it sound nicer. But I know how you feel, because I typed the damn thing, and it's like why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, that's also reading other people's script can be a little bit. I changed some of the wording in it just because I use different words. So, it kind of sounds all, when you try to read it, your brain, at least my brain's always a couple words forward before it enters my voice. So then I mess up because it's just, I'm just not a good script reader. But I mean, it was fun. It's fun to do. It was. I actually learned stuff about it. That's if there are a lot of. I think the Fifth Dawn, which is the one that you've released the last one before that, right? Darksteel's out on your channel.
It was, because John did Mirrodin, I did Darksteel, and you have Fifth Dawn. So I'll probably, hopefully by next week I should have it out. I thought I compiled the pictures. Apparently I didn't. I'll get the audio edited sometime this week. I got to find me some good music, unless you want to suggest some music and send my way, so we'll throw it into the thing. But I was reading something, I guess Tasty put up on tweets, and I guess a certain content music creator for like the free music or whatnot, I guess he doesn't want anybody to use that, because it's like, you'll go to hell if you use this person. And I'm just thinking, like, most of those songs I have like used from this one particular person, Tasty is gonna hate me.
Well, it's good music is the problem, man. It's out there is the thing. I understand you could go find some, less known people that need more credit, and Turner Community College almost exclusively uses this source as well. A lot of you'll hear it on YouTube all the time, but it's good. It's really well done. I use it like crazy as well. I think, of course, you're going to find it just because it's right on the YouTube library, and then you don't have to worry about copyright claims or that sort of thing. So it's a mess, and audio is a huge mess with YouTube.
Well, and like most of those guys, like they're like, yeah, go ahead, use it, just like give us credit and whatnot, and just subscribe to our channel, just like the whole, all that little detailed stuff. So I mean, most people are like okay with it. There's one guy I was watching, and I guess I was in my little phase during Christmas break. I was watching some like football, like NFL and NCAA football profile stuff, and it's by a guy named KTO. And there was this one piece of music that like stuck out and like made the channel. I was like, that is some really good music. And I went to go look it up. And the guy is like what I was describing. He was like, yeah, go ahead and you could use my music however you want. Just give me credit for it. I was like, we're not going to like copyright any of this. And it was like really good music. And this guy has a whole channel full of this. So it's like, of course, it's more hip hop, maybe not dubstep. It was some really good music. So it was just, but some people were like, yeah, go ahead, use the hell out of this.
I got a copyright, I guess, just notice for using a national anthem of Russia's, or it used to be the old communist national anthem. And
I know, I exactly know how that sounds.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? I found the most generic one off Wikipedia, and then I get a copyright claim for it. So yeah, it's pretty crazy with audio. That's another thing. If you're going to become a creator, definitely do not mess around with audio. Try to find something that doesn't have, or it just has the fair use, or, well, it's hard to do audio with fair use, but it doesn't have any sort of restrictions behind it. So,
I think so far, I've only gotten 2 notices, but I think they were like, oh yeah, like the copyright claim.
They just take your revenue usually.
Yeah, they'll just take the ad revenue. The one I did over right before Christmas, I guess I did How Magic Players Play, and it was that first one I did, and got the Robin Hood stuff, and like I guess Fox claimed on it, but it just took all the ad money. It's like whatever. So they were fine with it, but I guess, and I was like kind of with those last two videos I put up after Dark Steel. I was just kind of like, I was burned out, but I was bored, and those videos only took like an hour each. So I was just like, oh, so here's some. I just put together like little splices of like little sport scenes, and I put my own text at the bottom. Oh, burn player versus control player, or control player versus control player, or how an aggro player strategy is, and it's like Marshawn Lynch just saying, run through a mofo's face. So I mean, but yeah, it's the music stuff's just, like from what I've seen, a lot of people are like, okay with it. So, but there have been a couple times where I will get the copyright hammer and they'll just take my ad revenue for that. So it's, to me, it's so far I've been kind of lucky.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Like even for a channel like my size, ad revenue is still not well, especially one video. There was one that was annoying that would have made 20, 30 bucks that was siphoned off, but it is what it is. But anyway, so I guess just explain your role in just where you're at in the Magic world. What do you play? What's your favorite format?
That's I'm about to say, like, I don't know how much of an impact I'm in the community, because like, I mean, I'm just like, I guess to me, I'm just like the researcher and the person who might have like a question from like 20 years ago, like something generic I might be able to answer. Like, I guess my role in the community is just shit talk watcher and liking Tasty Snacky's replies to literally everyone, because that is what I do. Most of Nick's stuff is just spot on point.
You can't like Tasty. He's hated by everyone, including Desolator Magic. Come on.
I've seen the Desolator videos, and they were timeless classics. I have nothing. Look, I have nothing against Des. Like, I watch them every now and then, but if someone's gonna criticize, I mean, I'm gonna watch. I am the person with the popcorn, and we'll just watch the show burn down. That's just how I am. So when it comes to the Twitter Magic community, especially with the Jeremy stuff that's been happening, that's like, there's a couple of times where I defended you and Tasty, and like, I really had like no part in it. I'm more of the free speech proponent, but then again, there are consequences. But I'm just mostly the guy that watches. Like, what the hell is everyone like saying? But as far as like the rest of the community, I don't think I'm not popular. I know I'm not. Like, I talk to Simon every now and then. Nizahone he'll like spotlight my channel every now and then. I think one time, like, the professor liked that trailer video that I made over Amonkhet, and he like retweeted it. But that's it. Like, I'm just, as far as like,
you talking about
like,
the Nicol Bolas one?
No, he didn't retweet that. He retweeted the which the Nicol Bolas one, I think, to me, was my favorite. Especially
that's
with
my favorite video you've done.
With the Fallout music in the background is just, that was like spot on point. No, it was me and John did a movie trailer over when Amonkhet came out, or when the preview cards were coming out, or the spoilers were coming out, and so we did our version of the spoilers, but with music and with like a movie script, like if it was a movie trailer. And this was I think John. This was definitely John's idea. He came up with the script. He had suggestions for the cards. Like, I'm surprised John doesn't have more than 300 subs. Like, he should be like way more than like my subs. This man's like, content wise and script wise, like, he is a genius as far as when it comes up with like stuff to say. At least for my end, like, when he's written a script for me, like, I'm looking at this like, this is really good. Like, I can't come up with any better than this.
Yeah, John's a great interviewer too. Well, I've spoken on this before, that YouTube algorithm is not equal to everyone. That's there are a lot of my favorite content, Magic the Gathering content, just gets stuck in the hundreds, and it just stays there, and it's just because the algorithm just continues to kick them in the balls over and
Yeah,
over. And then you see other people just have the most clickbaity, awful content ever. A ton of the box openers. Just we have how many garbage unboxers? I mean, if you're in the chat and you unbox and that's your thing, that's not my. But there's just so many of them, and they just get these. They get up to the tens, the 15,000s without breaking a sweat just by opening product. And some of them don't even have
yeah,
like
I
good
know.
cameras or whatever. Just open a product like, ooh, look, I got a card. And then other people with like John or like Chris from Legendary Mana that just put in a
Yeah,
lot of time, and then the algorithm just kicks them in the balls repeatedly. So, um, yeah, but yeah, don't like John says, don't knock on your own content. It's very well produced, and you definitely have a niche. You definitely have a voice, and I encourage everyone to continue to try to find those little niches in the because there's still I think there's still a lot of room for content producers in Magic the Gathering. I still think we have a lack of brewers for one, but definitely historians
yeah.
and lore guys and
There's still a wide range of stuff that people can cover that hasn't really been covered. Like, and I kind of want to tap into it, but then again, what I'm afraid of is I'll get away from the card anthology series and start going to something else. So, I mean, if no one else taps in on this within the next couple of years, I'll probably get into it. But yeah, there's a lot of untapped, especially with like the history. So everyone wants to be current. That's the thing that hits the most. But then it becomes so saturated that if you are not the first one there, or you're not established, then it shoots you in the foot. But and this is where I come in. My idea was to hit the past because like there's every now and then people will want to learn about like I did, like they want to learn about the old school stuff and how the game has transformed in so many ways, like mechanics and some of the stuff with like some the random stuff like Summer Magic 1994 or like the Dark Prince, stuff like that.
gonna
And
get into beatdown, huh? Oh, there's some definitely some crazy sets.
well, I mean, I and Beatdown, like I think I've passed Beatdown, but there's some sets I want to come back to. I want to get like the main storyline, the main sets first, and then I'll start going like Starter 1999, Beatdown, like and eventually like Modern Master, like the first Modern Masters,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of touch up on some stuff. But history is not, compared to what they're doing, what most YouTubers for Magic are doing now. The past is like it's a wide open range of stuff. I mean, there's so many things you could talk about. I mean, you could be talking about players, decks, the lore that like Simon hasn't covered everything because there's just so much of it. Like books, like what Wedge did early on. There's a whole bunch of storylines that could either be covered in more depth or be told better. And it's just, there's history. There's a wide range of stuff. And it's like every year we go into Magic, that section gets bigger and bigger. And I'm surprised no one has jumped on this like more. There's a few people that do that, but not like have a series about it or be consistent about it. Which like I said, which was my idea, which is why I wanted to get into this. I think people should know the history about this, and if people are curious and how the game has changed so much because it really has. So, and it's like when you're talking about like like me in the community, like the decks I play, probably I guess it actually used to be standard until really until like this last, not Rivals, but until this last set. you know I was trying to do Black White Vampires, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like I don't have a niche for it anymore for standard. So what I've been doing lately, my favorite format so far has been Commander, and I've been doing it mostly on Magic Online. I have probably only played one Commander paper tournament, and the rounds were not even that much. So I think I've only played one paper Commander, but mostly all the Commander games I play are online, and that seems to be my favorite format. But I've played Modern, which I have a burn deck for Modern. Standard, I play every now and then. I'll probably get some more cards from my online deck. Um, Pauper, I like Pauper a lot. I think it has potential.
I may or may not
And
have spent $600 on Popper.
that's your money, dude. Um,
Screw all of you Popper players. Be expecting a price increase on a couple particular cards in the next few days. You'll know where
I,
that came from.
I like Pauper. I do like Pauper. It does have potential. Um, and then I haven't played Legacy or Vintage yet. And Vintage, it just looks expensive. So there might be a couple budget decks, but I don't see them. Legacy maybe, but it's just like Vintage. I think is out of my unless I get a few $1,000s into my corner sometime soon, which is probably not going to happen unless people just make a GoFundMe for Coach and just here you go play Vintage now, and just here's the experience. But like I said, it's probably not going to happen. Um, but yeah, Legacy and Vintage, I haven't really played that much. I've played Two-Headed Giant like once. Um, some of the other formats, I have played Draft one. I did a let's see, I did a draft tournament. Um, oh my God, probably like when I started like 2 or 3 years ago. They got me into a cons draft, and that was all right. I was like still trying to figure out like what the hell I was doing, but it was overall fun. But my go-to right now, EDH, and really if it's paper, I guess Standard because I play FNM still probably like once a month. But yeah, Standard has changed so much. Like, oh boy, like, and I think after I post your stuff, I think we go into Champions of Kamigawa, and then Nick, if Nick's on here, Nick should be doing Unhinged. So, and Nick's episodes, I like the Unglued episode that Nick made was like, I liked it a lot. So, but yeah, but so far I don't think I'm a very popular community member. So,
You and John organized a really good. I thought it was a really good community tournament. Was it like last year around this time? I can't remember when it was last time. It was around the summer.
well, it was in the summer, and this was also the time when I think I was still getting my life straightened out because I think when we did the summer tournament, um, I think I had just accepted a job at GP, or I was like, it was either I just accepted it, or the contract, we were still working out, like, if I was going to sign the contract or not, because I was in another job bid with, like, my alma mater, which those two schools are, like, they're school rivals.
Oh, you traitor, huh?
Um, well, the first job I was at, I was a trader because they're right across. The school I used to work at is like 4 miles down the road from the school I went to, so I was a trader there. And then going to there, I am still, I guess, technically a trader, so I can't win with these people. So, oh my God, what was I gonna say? But yeah, it was the commander tournament, and what sucked, it had to be cut short because just all the stuff that happened during the summer with like schedules and whatnot. Um, it started off great, and then like I guess I accepted my job, and we had all this, I had to work all the summer stuff there for a week or two, and then I think John was having some stuff going on, and then the people we were trying to get were have stuff going on. So it was just a big it was kind of a big mess. I think another one was Corbin, who beat me in the quarterfinals. We were having trouble getting him on.
Yeah, he was a replacement for
So
someone anyway, wasn't he?
yeah, he
Yeah,
was
it
a
was just that
replacement.
was
I
the
think
biggest issue
for
with it. It's just people
I
dropped
think
off.
he was the I think he was the replacement for I want to say Zuby. I can't remember. I think that's who it was because Zuby got sick, and so John got Corbin,
He He replaced
And
Chaz. Okay, that's who he
oh no,
replaced.
yeah, you're right. You replaced no, yeah. I'm about to say Zuby got just like me got knocked off the first round. Chaz got replaced with Corbin. Yeah, I think you're right. So I'm trying to remember all this. Is John messaging you like the
He's
details?
in the chat, so I got the chat pulled up, but
Chaz or John?
John's in the chat.
Okay, yeah. John is a much better person at remembering things than I am. It's like we're the unofficial gay couple. It's okay. He knows more than I do.
Oh man. So
Grace is gonna. My girlfriend's gonna be looking at this like, what the hell did you just say? Uh,
so
but
at least some silver lining came out of it. I got to annihilate Tasty.
you
His
did. That
his
was.
his little blue deck that was trying to be tricky. I completely spiked it up with Brea. I don't think Brea
Oh
was
yeah.
tier 1 at that time, but it definitely was a very
For
good,
that for
solid
that for
deck.
that
Yeah,
for that match, it seemed like a tier one.
yeah. I think I would enjoy Commander 1 versus 1 if Wizards would actually try to regulate it more. So I don't know what shape it's in right now. I know that Paper had to ban uh, Markov, Edgar Markov, because it was too good
Yeah.
in 1 versus 1. But apparently it's still going on MTGO. I don't know if that's the case or not. If it
Well,
hasn't
yeah,
been banned.
they have like slightly different rules for, or they have slightly different bans for paper and for online. Like online, you can't use the mana ramps, but then you get to paper and like I think Soul Ring you could still use in like some of
I think
the.
Soaring's banned in both of them. There's French and there's Leviathan. I think that the fast mana is banned in both of those. The
Okay,
difference is the life total. There's one has a 30 life total and one has a 20 life total, and so it
gotcha.
changes the meta a little bit. Like ramp decks aren't nearly as good in the 20 life total as they are in the 30. So you can see you'll see some green ramp decks in whichever. I always get the two mixed up between French and Leviathan, but then yeah, Burn is a lot better, or Zergo or Karizev or some of these aggro based commanders are a lot better in.
Zer-
Um,
Zergo's fun to watch. Zergo's fun to like play with. Me personally, I'm like I still use Atraxa, and I like doing the Super Friends, especially online, like because online I have like Karn and Ugin and like Gideon and Obnixilis, like all the basic Planewalkers I used in Standard last year or the year before. So I mean they're still pretty fun. There's some Planeswalkers where I'm like I can't afford this, and I think I got Karn and Ugin like off of trades. Like my Liliana from Eldritch Moon, I had like two of them, and I got rid of both of them and I got like a crap load of tickets for them. So I bought Karn, Ugin, and like three of the dual lands for my commander deck. So
well, Ugin
it was
was
a nice,
down to 50 cents at one point. So, well,
yeah.
MTGO's got the weirdest economy. They put it in a promo. Then, like, I even opened up my account and had two of them just randomly
Oh,
for something I played
really?
in. And so it killed the price of Ugin for quite some time. Yeah, MTGO's a whole other beast. You think that cards are expensive, like the paper cards. You think it would translate to MTGO, but a lot of times it's not the case. There's some uh, cards that are very expensive, like from Mercadian Mass Commons, for example, can be very expensive on MTGO, which are worthless in paper, and vice versa. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think I bought Ugin when I bought him for commander. I think he was only like, at the time, I think he was like $7. So he didn't get to the 50 cent range.
yeah.
If it had to the 50 cent range, I would have like that would have been an easy swap. But I think it was like 7 or 8 tickets, and then like Karn was
Karn's expensive.
around.
Yeah,
Karn was but Karn, I don't remember putting a lot of tickets on Karn though. So it might have been. I think it was more expensive than Ugin, but it wasn't. If I remember correctly, it wasn't by much. So and those were, but then again, I didn't put any money down. I had like the Lilianas from um, I had Lilianas from when she was like really low, and then she spiked up later on because I bought her
yeah.
like super early. and then it just like all of a sudden just like she's okay, 35 tickets. Wow, that was quick.
Ugin got down to 10 cents. Now I'm looking at it.
Dang,
It's currently at 80
man.
cents. 10 cents, and on paper it's a $33 card, so you can see that that's
Yeah.
what I've never been impressed with the economy team, whoever manages MTGO. That's why I have a very unpopular opinion about Arena, that I think Arena is just going to be a disaster, because the best way to look at a future project is look at the past projects, and they've never been able to get
Oh yeah.
MTGO right. And so why do we all just expect that this is all of a sudden going to be uh, managed correctly? But yeah, I've had a little bit back and forth with MTG Lee on Twitter. I made fun of him about they had a times 40 card on the what's called the curated card list, and it was also being drafted currently in Vintage Masters. And so it was a card that was a rare that was worth like 20 cents, and it was on or times 25. So he had 25 times more likelihood of getting it than just a regular rare for a modern or standard. So
Yeah, that is pretty
and they
strange.
just didn't do anything about it. And then they again when they take off this card, they take off these cards that still need to be on the curated card list, and then that are like 40 tickets, and they're very obscure one of sideboard cards. So it's I think we're gonna have the same problem with Arena. There's gonna be a lot of stuff that's just not managed correctly with the economy. But anyway, I digress with that. But so do you actually play Commander on MTGO? Because I always heard that was a terrible
I do
experience.
like well, for me it's like I'll get bored at the house like on a weekend. I'll be like late in bed because I'll be I guess since I like teach at an early time, like on the weekends, like me sleeping in is like getting like 7:15, and it's like I'll be in bed. I'm just kind of like I'll put on YouTube, watch something like watch another Star Wars, The Last Jedi, like crappy review. I've been like that's been my thing this week is just watching like crappy reviews about The Last Jedi. So I'll put one on and then I'm like I'll get my laptop, I'll put it on, I'll play a little bit of Commander. I'll play like 3 or 4 games, and then like the weird thing is like if I end on a loss, I have to play another one. Like I do not want to end on a loss, so I'll play another. I'll play another until I win or the dude quits. Like that's just how I am. And then it's like, oh, okay, I still don't want to get out of bed, so I'll play League of Legends for a little bit. I'll play like 1 or 2 games, and then it's just like then
Did
it's
you
like
just
10
say
o'clock.
League of
Okay,
Legends in my stream? Uh
I
oh.
did.
Uh oh. Whew, I'm triggered. I am triggered. One
I'm
of the,
sorry, my older brother and his like our friends play, so like I'm I'm still kind of newish ish. I've been playing for like a year, and I'm a top player. I'm mostly like a Garen and like just tanky player. So that's because it's easy for me. Like that's I can't play anything else really. I try to be like a middle lane, bot lane, or jungle, and I can't do this shit. Like I'd rather be top lane, just like destroy people at the top. But I haven't had the chance to play Dota 2 yet, so I kind of want to do that this summer and just kind of see how it is
yeah,
compared to League of
I'm
Legends.
frustrated with Dota right now. They're still having some issues, lag issues, things
Yeah,
like that. That's why people
true.
that someone just did a comparison on the just the latency from your mouse to the game engine, and like Dota is like 5 times worse than League of Legends.
Yeah,
So a lot of people are, I don't know, but as far as if you play like on a LAN, it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But I don't something with it when their game server with Valve or whatever. It's been bad this last couple months. I can't play any
yeah.
characters that require any sort of precision, or just they've been brutal. But
Huh.
I played League for
Yeah.
a while. I just think it's a I don't know
I
dumbed
think
down
it
version of Dota.
like what you were saying like when we talked last time. I think it like uh like leagues and seems a little bit simpler. Um, and it's just you know I haven't really had the chance to see Dota 2 like in depth and a lot. So I'm kind of I actually now I'm kind of like I'm kind of curious. Oh, look, I just found the chat. Look at this. I'm gonna try to see what everyone's been
Well,
saying.
John's taken off, so
John's not here anymore.
he's going to dinner.
Gay. Come on, dude. Like seriously, I just got on and he just like this is what happens. Like he just oh man, no bueno. Let's see. I'm trying to go all the way. Okay, how did this
Well, we
start?
can start
Okay.
it to a Q&A. If anyone has questions for Coach, you can definitely give a question. Otherwise, we'll just shoot the breeze. I think that's one of my favorite things to do with if Coach is just shoot the breeze. We were on like a 2-hour conversation one time about history.
Oh
So
yeah.
chat usually likes to get me derailed in controversial stuff. I'm surprised they haven't yet. I can't even brew decks yesterday. Oh, let's talk about a deck. Oh no, let's have Kevin talk about feminism instead. Fun. And I'm such an idiot. I can't help myself. So, but yeah, we had a pretty
Whatever
good.
they whatever they want to. I mean, I'm probably set myself up for failure but it's kind of whatever. I guess whatever they. I'll do my best to try to answer some of these questions.
Do you still
But
use MTG Omino? Rob's asking about it.
actually, I haven't been on for about a week, but I still use it every now and then. I haven't posted anything probably in about like maybe about 2 or 3 weeks. I usually do one like once a month, maybe. I remember when I started off, I was posting stuff like every day, and then it got to the point where I was doing it every week, kind of like with card anthology. I was first doing I was doing the Cardsmith, I guess, on my phone or the Magic Generator, and I was doing like history based stuff, and that's how I started off. And then it eventually got to the point where I was meeting up with Tasty, and then I met John through YouTube, and then he told me about. I should take that back. I met John, and John told me about the Amino, which then I started doing that stuff, which then led me to Tasty, which then led me to Nisa and Cybin, which now I guess without the MTG Amino, it's like I wouldn't have met these guys. Like I could probably would have met these guys later or talked to these guys later, but yeah, MTG Amino I haven't been on in a while. Probably yeah, probably at least a week, and I haven't posted really anything about 3 weeks. I would say.
Yeah,
Let's see.
that was something that once I quit. Well, first of all, my phone is a pile of garbage. Never buy LG. That's what I can recommend everyone, because every time I try to use my phone as minimal as possible. I've had to have it repaired twice with
Yeah,
the issues with it. So I used to use Amino during boring swim team, and then it's just preference. I'm an old school person. I'm a lot older than a lot of people think, so I'm used to just the PC and not these you kids in your smartphones. So I'd rather if Amino translated it somewhere to like a Twitter based like a website where I could log. I know you can get like BlueStacks or there are a few other turns your computer into a or allows you to do smartphone things for your computer. Is it called?
yeah.
Isn't Blue something Blue? I used to play it when I used to play Clash of Clans, so I could have multiple accounts with Clash of
There you
Clans.
go.
But so I know you can do that, but it's just too much of a Android emulator. There we go. It's just too much of a hassle. But I wish they would have some way to just have I post on Amino. The community was great. It was very welcoming. Isn't that the word they
Yeah,
want us to use? Welcoming.
I I guess like that's. I am not a wordsmith, nor would I recommend anyone to use me as a wordsmith.
I'm just S to the
Um,
punch at Wizards.
yeah,
Anytime I
there
can
you
give
go.
a punch at Wizards, I'll give a punch at Wizards.
Go for it. Oh, I'm seeing. Oh, freaking Mr. Desolator Magic's on here.
Yep, and
It says
D
I
Manny's on
have a
here.
question. Yeah, I just saw. Let's see. I have a question since I just showed up. What's Card Bazaar? Okay, I guess he was just asking who I am. That's fine.
Link in the description. Go check the channel. I highly recommend checking out the Gatewatch. I had it linked. Where was the video? The Gatewatch
Oh,
political attack ad. Very good
there
video.
you
One
go.
of the best little clips on Magic the Gathering, in my opinion. So only
It's a little.
1,400 views. Let's change that. Definitely go
It
watch
was
the
a,
video.
I would say it was a little stab at, it was a little stab at the political stuff going on. So I still think Nicol Bolas deserves more views.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, what do you think of MTG Amino? We've already invoked Jeremy. Let's see. I don't see any. We miss you on Amino, Coach. Oh, I'm sorry, D Manny.
Amina's a good
Let's.
platform too for creators. I was impressed with the amount of traffic that it actually brings. So if you link
Yeah.
something on there, and they still call them curators. Is that what you're called, D Manny? Isn't that what they called the people that were uh, help with the
He
flow
was.
of it?
Uh, I mean, D Manny was the curator, but
Yeah,
I'm
curators and
not
leaders.
sure.
Yeah, there we go. So
Yeah, it
they were
was.
pretty fair with everything. Didn't give special treatment to content creators a lot of times. So I think I had quite a few followers on there last time I used it. Like I just haven't even installed it since my phone got back from the repair. That's how lazy I'm with the smartphone. I just realized, went to the gym and realized, tried to put on music and realized I haven't put music back on this stupid thing, and
Yeah.
it got repaired like 3 months ago. So eventually, again, if there's a way, maybe one of these days, if there's a good solution from PC to Amino, I'd love to use it because there was it's a great place for like interacting with other people, meeting new people, polls, things like that. So I haven't used it for anything outside of Magic. I know there's a lot of any interest is basically a how do they separate them in aminos topics, whatever
Yeah.
word.
Like I'm also on. I guess since I do the other card stuff, I'm also on the Pokemon one.
Pokemans.
Yeah, and
Have you seen what's his bucket's channel? Do you ever know Kevin from Darium CCG? Did you ever watch him at all when he
uh,
was part of Matt?
yeah. The
His
first.
his Pokemon channel is crazy now. It's like
I wa-
355,000 subs.
Yeah, I watched his card shop life because we were trying to start a card business. This is probably right after I got my first job, second job, or my first job going, or my second year at my first job. And I was looking at his videos and just see what the process was to get a card shop in the first place with like taxes and like building codes and like stock inventory, furniture, all that. So I watched his stuff, and then they did all the random stuff, which me and my older brother started watching. So yeah, I've seen, yeah, I've seen Darium's channel. I was very interested for a while, and then they decided not to do like Magic anymore, which like, oh man, that sucks. But now like, I go every now and then, just will see what videos he's posted, and like, yeah, the subscriber base is just unreal. And like on
Yeah.
the Amino for Pokemon, there's active users. There's usually about 1,000 active users on average, and then even the Yu-Gi-Oh one's more active. Like the Yu-Gi-Oh one, when I do for like my stuff on with the card anthology for that series, there's usually twice the number of people active on there compared to Magic. So Magic took, like, as far as the Amino, took kind of a decent hit. I remember when I was on there, we were getting 100 an average, so probably about the same as the Yu-Gi-Oh one. But now it's starting to, like, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. Well, Pokemon for sure is more active because it's not just TCG; it's like quite literally
Yeah.
everything. Especially when Sun and Moon came out, they became more active too. And I mean, Sun, I played Sun this summer. It was a blast. I'm not gonna lie. It was like I finally used my DS that I got this past Christmas or the Christmas before. That was just such a fun game, and the fact that you could get, because I have Zelda on my stuff too. I have like the I think I have one of the Super NES Zeldas, and I've been playing that for a little bit, and it's so fun, and it's so like it's portable. Yeah, like I don't need to bust out the old Super Nintendo to play. It's literally in my hands. Like, and I could see it. I could make it 3D and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, like the Amino, I wish it was more computer friendly. And if it was, I think we would be seeing more users. But I do like the fact that Um, like for me, I'm a big phone person. I'm a big application person because if I could do the stuff I'm doing with like my channel, if I could do it on my phone, I would. That's what I would be doing because it's just simpler. Like my whole life, or most of my life, is on my phone. Like if this ever broke, I'd be so sad. Like it'd be a very depressing next couple of weeks because it's like I really rely on this phone. It's like my keychain. It's like the thing for to set my house alarms and like calling and texting and Skype and just like you know just an email. Email is such a big thing for me. Like and just checking stuff like if oh my god, freaking John just texted me. Thanks for the love. Miss you too, boo. LOL. Wow. Really? Thanks, John. I love you too.
John's a good guy, everyone.
But
He bailed me out of a sticky situation in Vegas.
you were telling me about that the hotel situation.
Yeah, we just didn't like I had some friends like skip out on us. Um and then we didn't have the hotel room anymore, and so it was like last minute, and he hooked us up last minute, found us a cheap hotel room. Worked out good. So shout out to John for that. I one of these
Oh
days I
yeah.
need to figure out how to get him back. But just looked at D-Manny, by the way. Just looked at it. Amino Apps is installed on this phone. I guess when it just automatically reinstalled everything, but I don't know what my username is. I tried logging on it. I can't figure it out. I'll have to figure out what the my login credentials is. But yeah, for everyone that's wondering about Amino, they did a community cup last year, and a lot of it had to do with brewing decks. So
Yeah.
my team won, right, D Manny? We won, but I think it was because I used my celeb status a little bit too much. I don't know if the curators or the people running it were too afraid not to not to make me win.
I mean, you're good at your job. I'm just saying.
But it was fun. I like I want to get back to those sort of brews where you have like parameters. Is that the right word to use? How to specifically like theme-based brews. One of my favorite things when they used to do the community cup when Wizards used to sponsor is they have the like the brew challenges. And I was always like, man, I'd love to be on that because I'd clean house on these, because it seemed like a lot of these spikes, a lot of these pros were just brain dead when it came to actually trying to brew something. And they would try to. I remember one of them
Yeah.
was so bad. Was it PVDDR or one of them that just tried to chuck the 4 copies he had to use in a tier 1 deck and call it good, and they like blasted him for it. And so yeah, it's that's one of my favorite things to do. That's Magic in a nutshell. Is all about exploring, all about trying to figure things out. And so when you're given restrictions, it's something that becomes very entertaining, very fun, very yeah, so it's something with MTGO I'd always wish, and I hope they do it for Arena if they're not going to do it with MTGO, is have achievements, have little challenges to build a deck or win a deck with a certain amount of copies or a certain synergy, like win a game where you assemble both this and this that does this. Instead
Yeah.
of knowing them, they'll be like, win a game with Approach the Second Sons. Fun. That's
Um,
exactly what we want to be doing. But
I think when I talked to Niza last time, I think he mentioned something about Hearthstone having like the achievements and stuff, or having like the daily challenges. I think that would be a cool concept. Also, like just to have like what is it, the checkpoints, and you get like points for achieving this stuff on a daily basis. That would be real. That would be real cool, and it
well,
would.
pre-releases, they used to give you a card in the pre-release pack, and you could get, what did you get for, there was usually something stupid. I think we gave out a Thopter. You could make a little Thopter figurine if you completed your checklist. I think Kaladesh is the last time they did one, actually, now I think about it. But it's sad, this last pre-releases have been, there was a point where the pre-releases used to be just 4 or 6 packs, and you just open up and that'd be it. You'd get your promo, you'd get your 6 packs, and I think they started like having actual pre-release kits. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it wasn't even until Ravnica that they started doing pre-release kits, and then they did the themes for the guilds, and then each
Yeah.
pre-release they tried to add on to stuff, and there was achievements and there was things that you were I remember Dragons of Tarkir, they had like a little side game you could play, and it's just sad. It's just absolutely sad that we've devolved back to, oh, here's your pre-release kit, have fun, where instead of trying to make it like an event-worthy thing, it's just gone back to, well, local game stores, it's your job to try to make it interesting. So I have no
Yeah.
clue why Wizards can't get their act together and hire people to encourage this sort of thing at the local game store level, to have a I've never, why hasn't Wizards even sent my local game store like a, for leagues or some other like a format challenge type thing, to just get creative. Like, they're so paranoid about net decks that they hide information, that they ban cards, that they, we're entering this era that they're so, they want this vibrant standard meta, and they could easily do that just by encouraging people to play differently. And it's just sad. It's sad that a huge 20 million player base can't afford a community manager at Wizards to kind of cultivate this. That it has to be done through, I mean, there's just the Community Cup thing that D-Manny did on Amino Apps. Why doesn't Wizards have that on their front page of their website? No, other than, all right, here it is, Mark Rosewater, pen and paper, puts out a little poll. It doesn't even use technology, just uses good old pen and paper. Vote on your favorite card for this. And he tallies it up in his little calculator. It's just pathetic. But here I am. See, there you go, chat. You got me ranting. It wasn't hard.
Hey, I like when you rant. So it keeps the conversation going, and you some interesting stuff gets brought up. Some, which a lot of times raises more questions too. Yeah, it'd be different to see, but it'd be different to see stuff like that. But again, now you're going into business territory. Like, you got to remember, like, Wizard of the Coast is a business, and being a subsidiary to Hasbro, they got to make certain profits. And, to me, I see it as an efficiency deal, because if you put too much work into it, then it's like you'll be not making as much money. But so they'll just keep with the same formula over and over and over again, until it dies out. Then they'll come up with something else.
It's sad though, because virtually every other game tries to cultivate tries to avoid burnout or boredom with their games. So, for example, Dota releases these compendiums that give you alternative ways to play the game. They also will come up with like these side games every now and again. Plus, they have the use map settings, I guess is what you like to call it, where users can create their own ways to play using the Dota engine. Just they continue to cultivate community participation, whereas Wizards just drops the ball over and over. Their Grand Prix are lackluster. Their Pro Tours are extremely lackluster. It was the saddest day. The saddest thing I think I've ever experienced as far as Magic is concerned is after day 2, when I was eliminated. There was supposed to be day 3 was a ghost town. No one was even there. None of even the Pro Tour competitors were even watching the top 8. They were all going and just out vacationing because there's no point to be at the place. What they did do day 2 is you could draft for free the entire day, but what people were doing is they were just exploiting it. We were all drafting and dropping so we could redraft. So drafting, picking the rares, dropping. Drafting, picking the rares, dropping. And it was also one of the most disgusting things I've ever witnessed is it got so cluttered that they hired the janitors would come to the tables and just with a swooping arm just go right into the trash, all those unwanted commons, and because you're thinking you have pro players there, so no one's, and we all flew there, so no one's like gonna be picking up commons and uncommons, right into the trash. And so that was their way of like, and I want to make a video as I participated in Pro Tour Dragon's Maze, and all I got was this crappy t-shirt, because literally they gave us a t-shirt for participation. That was it. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's sad. There's so much this game could do. It's a beautiful game. It's got, like your channel, it's got like a bunch of lore. It's got a lot of history. It's got more history than most games, even games I grew up with, like StarCraft, that are still around. Magic even is something that supersedes that. It came before it. And it's just, I don't know. It's just something that breaks my heart that Wizards hasn't been able to get their act together in 20. We're supposed to be celebrating 25 years.
Yeah, now they're just kind of like, well, I mean, I don't know. It just, I don't know what Wizards is doing sometimes. And what I guess brought it even further was especially last year, like back in December with all the Jeremy stuff, and it's just like you're gonna ban a member for life, even though people that they have banned before have done far worse.
Well, hold up here. I'm stopping
That's
you.
what.
There's nothing worse than
Go
being
for it.
mean to a cosplayer. Come on. Come on. She was so just an integral part of our game. Come on. Look at all those pictures of the kids that took pictures with her at the GPs. GPs just aren't the same without the cosplayers. Yeah, you can see where the focus is. Oh, man.
I love your sarcasm.
And
It makes my day.
it was that big of a deal, why the hell didn't they just hire her?
That would have been the easy solution.
Yeah, I know. Just this again. It's sad. It is sad. This whole company is so inept at doing their job. I had a conversation with MTG Lee on Twitter just recently with like, hey, can you give me some information about this card that was on the cure list? Oh, if I want to. I don't feel like it. It's Friday night. I don't feel like it's the time to tweet back at me with a dumb response. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's like they don't take their brand seriously, and it's all these interactions I've even had with these tiny games like Lightseekers, where they're trying to cultivate it the best they, what they have when they have, tens of thousands of players, not millions of players. So I don't know. I've been very, very upset with just the direction since December. But anyway, I interrupted you. I'll let you finish where you're going with the.
No, it's just when when I saw stuff like that, I didn't think too much of it at first glance, and then it's like when I actually started watching the videos and people saying that Jeremy like outright like just like harassed her to like no end, and just the shit that they were saying was just like unreal. It's like, dude, like, and the thing that got me, and I know it got Nick, was just the lack of evidence. It's kind of like what that when Count Dankula sent out that video, which I even showed Grace, I even showed my girlfriend this, and I showed her the video, and it's like, okay, you don't know what's going on, but this video will explain it. And even her, who this is a person that does not like me playing Magic at all. Like, she just does not like the nerdiness, with the exception of maybe we'll play Super Smash Brothers every now and then. She loves Princess Peach. That's it. That's as far as it goes. But even she thought that the stuff with Jeremy was utterly stupid on the part of the cosplayer calling out the harassment. She looked at this, and then we looked at some more stuff, and it's like, this is not harassment. Like, this is not even, like, what? Like, yeah, my girlfriend was saying it, and she hates Magic. She fucking hates, like, this stuff. Like, and she's like, this is what they're getting the big deal? Like, really? Like, do they have nothing else to worry about? So, yeah. And it's just, when Wizards did the lifetime ban for Jeremy, and then when they did the 1-year ban for Travis, I was like, that's pretty messed up.
And Travis is gone now. Well, I have a feeling he'll come back after his ban, but he's pretty he's standing firm that he's done with the game. And that is a guy that did try to, I mean, the whole thing where Magic for Good was his first project, and it got trolled so bad, he's like, fine, I'm gonna make a place for you guys to be as raunchy as possible. Just go ham. It's just go here, just do it there. Don't do it at Magic for Good. And it worked. It took all the troll out of Magic for Good and put it somewhere. And then that's their. So if anything, he should be applauded for what that's even said when he created the group. I'm not going to moderate this. This is going to be an unmoderated place forever. Moderation kind of takes away the point. Because if it gets moderated,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they're going to come back to Magic for Good, and then you're going to have to moderate Magic for Good,
Yep.
twice as hard. Yeah, it's just I think that a lot of the things that Travis Wu, a lot of their last evidence too, the racial slur against Japanese people was ridiculous. Because you can make a racial, or not a racial, but a political slur against Germans and be just fine with it, or anybody you can call a Nazi that has any it has any white skin whatsoever, and you can get away with it when you can say that's basically the same thing. And it's
well, it's like what I told you when we were talking about earlier. Like, I've been called racist, but it's like, wait a minute. Like, I teach at a school where it's like, most of my kids are Hispanic. Most of those kids have they're in a single parent home with no dad, and they're the ones calling me dad. Like, you can't be racist when you're that close to the kids, when you're like, you have, as far as a personal relationship, like those kids were like my own. And it's like, you can't call someone racist when you're like, they're like your own kids. It's just, there's just no way. So people just like throwing names out, and it's just like, so what? Call me racist. I don't give a damn. Like,
yeah,
because
it's a hollow term at this point.
Yeah,
they just chuck it out without any evidence, and
it has very little weight, and people don't see who you are. And it's, they look, people can call me whatever. I will prove to you who I am if it comes to terms. But really, if you're calling me that, you don't deserve my time in the first place. So, yeah, I still, I'm at a school where it's like, the Hispanic population's still the majority. And it's like, it's just the area that we live in. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. The point is of being a teacher, being a coach, is to make the people you're with better. It doesn't matter who it is. It's to make them better, a better person than when you first saw them. That's what it comes down to. And it's, with all the name calling and stuff, like you said, it's hollow. It's a cop out.
Yeah. It's people that don't want to debate ideas. They'd rather just go right at the jugular. It's right. You're a racist.
And look,
there's no way to.
I am a terrible debater, but I know in my mind, if you are the first person that calls names, you've already lost. Because you can't promote your ideas. You cannot back yourself up. And I hate defending myself verbally and debate-wise. But if I have to do it, I'll try to do it the best way possible without calling anyone names. So, and it's just, but to me, it's like, if you start calling names, you've already lost. Like, you have no way of defending yourself, because you can't, like, you ran out of ideas. You ran out of how to defend your position. So
you're not up for debating me whether or not Abraham Lincoln was the worst president the United States has ever had?
I mean, we could try that.
That's why I think that one of my favorite. Again, one of the reasons why I've said this many times. This is why I'm trying to do these community spotlights. Is one of my favorite thing about Magic is the people that I've met, and I've been very surprised at the people. I think that if I would take people as, say, yourself, for example, if I were just to know, okay, you're from Texas, right? Got that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeez, why did I have a brain fart there? So, a coach from Texas who happens to play Magic the Gathering, and if you were watch the channel, I think I'd come to a conclusion of what type of person you were. And then when I actually get to, so I think the first time I met you too, I was kind of tiptoeing around. And then when we get into like these more deep discussions, I'm like, wow, I am pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of, and I've done this with so many people. If I were just to get the TLDR of who they were, then I would avoid them like the plague. And I've been so surprised with when you start having conversations with people. So Coach and I got into a discussion one time, and it's one of my favorite discussions I've had. Got into history, went back and forth. I think you had some interactions with Tulane Community College and Wedge, right? About how to rate your top presidents. I'm like, wow, you guys just rated my top 5 least favorite presidents.
Yeah, because I saw that. I was like, wow, that's fucked up. So like I went over to like defend you, and Wedge got all, oh my God, Wedge got like offended. like, oh my God, like evidence and
Oh, that point, yeah. I was thinking you did a
oh
tweet
my
about
God.
top presidents, and I know it got Wedge
Oh yeah, yeah,
involved.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I, yeah, I saw something like, um, or it was it. I think he also posted about George Washington, or like it was George Washington, FDR, and and the reason he posted it because he got like his major in, I guess, political science. So
Hmm.
like he has the information. Well, yeah, okay, awesome. Like just for me, like I'm not gonna gloat about that. Like I've taught history for 5 years, and I'm not gonna like gloat about that. Oh, I know every single person because I have a teaching degree. Like, no, it's just like, okay, so you know more shit than other people. Like, don't go about like gloating it. Like, it's to me, I'm more of a humble person, and on top of that, like, there is stuff I'm not gonna know. There's plenty of stuff I'm not gonna know. I have learned like a lot from you and Tacey just this past year of just about God, I don't know, like everything. So it's just, I, and when you talk to more people, you tend to learn more stuff that about them and about the stuff they like to talk about. So, I like learning stuff. That's the thing. But he just made it seem like he knew every single you know, like down to the last skinny butt hair on George Washington. It's like he knew everything about this man apparently, or FDR. And it was just like, dude, like, okay, it's whatever.
Yeah, what
Like
people
me
that
personally, I'm like, I like George Washington, like, and I said this on Johnstown, like, um, first president set the tone for the country. And you know, to me, he was a badass, like, as far as like where he came from and as far as like his military career and like what I liked about him, he set the precedent for the president. He set the tone, and that's what I like about him.
too bad no one
Um,
followed.
I know, no, God, farewell address and his little writing campaigns. Like, yeah, don't make permanent alliances. What do we do? Oh, we have Democrats and Republicans who can't go most of the time to have a compromise, and this is the kind of shit that we end up with, and like a government shutdown like we had a couple of days ago. So yeah, to me it was George Washington. I guess after that, after that, I don't want to. I want to say Ronald Reagan, but then looking more into it, I think he's stepped down a couple notches. Um, I would want to say FDR, but then again, we also had World War II, so that might have also helped us get out of the Great Depression. So I'm gonna have to come back to you on that top
Just
five
go watch
top list.
FDR's little speech on Stalin. That'll make your skin
Oh
crawl.
yeah, I probably need to hit up on that. But yeah, it's like when he did that, we're having that discussion, but what it felt like, I probably got, I could have definitely got the wrong impression, but it seemed like he's like, I know more than you, so my reasons are better. It's like,
Well, when people
okay,
throw around degrees, that's what used to. One of my favorite
yeah,
moments in life was I had chosen a therapist for a reason. So a little bit of backstory. I had gone to the uh, every waking moment on the researching books, internet, talking to specialists, things like that. I went through the ringer with a terrible relationship. Said this story many times on this channel with a girl who had a
yeah,
severe mental illness or emotional disorder, whatever you want to classify borderline personality disorder as. And so I just wanted to wrap my head around it. So I decided to go to school for it and got my associate's degree, started working on my bachelor's degree. And the more I learned, the more I pursued knowledge, the less trust I had in the experts. Because then I just realized how it's just riddled. The people that go far in their schooling a lot of times are the like the least likely candidates that should be there, to
yeah,
pursuit of knowledge. And these supposed experts I'd figure out knew nothing. And so I had tried to set a good example when we were in the relationship by me going to therapy, and then maybe she would. because of course she'd be slinging around that I was the broken one, I was the abusive one, I was the all day long. So I started seeing it, and I picked one that had 18 years experience. That was why, with borderline personality disorder. And so most of my sessions I'd want to talk like just the theories of it, or the like I'd want to talk to science. And then one day my therapist stopped me and she's like, you know what? There's probably no one in the state of Utah that knows as much about this as you. And so if you came here for that, I'm not the right person for it. And it kind of stunned me because it's like, but I'm a nobody, and it made me kind of feel kind of, I don't know, alone, or I don't know if that's the right word, just kind of just hopeless for society, that no one has put the time in to really understand these things, and they're the experts, but they just stop at the pertinent stuff, and then
Yeah.
become a therapist or become whatever. But yeah, it was so when people throw this around that they have these especially only like a bachelor's degree, there's not a lot of work that is actually required getting it, as far as going very deep. A lot of times bachelor's degrees are just still jumping through hoops.
Yeah.
So that
Like,
was
to me, because my degree, I got in kinesiology, which is the study of movement, which is, it's like pretty much essentially like sports science, like, being a coach and whatnot. And then I got my minor in biology only because I've already had the classes. I took the first couple. I took evolution. I took molecular theory and all that stuff, or cell theory or something like that. And then, I just need a few more credits, so I just ended up getting that. And then, I got cum laude. I graduated with honors. Although on my degree it says summa cum laude, so it makes me sound smarter. And they asked me when I was at the thing, when I was getting my degree, this was after graduation, like a week after graduation. Oh, is your thing correct? I look at it, it said summa cum. Yes. And I just took off and I went and like, that's a good centerpiece right there. But it's not like on a every day or every week or on Twitter, I like go on a Twitter campaign of how smart I am, because essentially in the end, what you're going to be, and this is a weird thing for like education and like just your coaching career, is like what you're going to be judged on by the community is, one, if you're a football coach, how many wins you're going to get. If you're any other sports, how many medalists did you get at the highest levels? And then with your teaching stuff, have you ever gotten teacher of the year, or, have you ever been docked for anything, like, or how does your evaluations are? So, people like to say it's like, oh, it's your experience, like, not your experience. What was I going to say? Oh, the kids you make, if you make that one kid, it's all the difference in the world. But the thing is, you're in a classroom full of like, for me this year, it's like I have classes of like 24 each. I have about 120 students total. It's like, you got to make a significant impact in the most efficient way for most of those kids. You will probably not hit all of them, because I see it as a mathematical problem and I see it as an efficiency problem. Some kids are not going to care. Some kids are set in their ways. Some kids just don't like you as a teacher. Some kids don't like you as a subject. So, like, to me, it's getting the most people possible. And for me, as far as getting as far as being intellectually knowledgeable, it's not the degree, it's the experience. How much experience do you actually have? How proven are you to getting this many kids up to, let's say, a reading grade level, or at least the basic knowledge of like what you're teaching? Because right now I got U.S. history all the way up to Reconstruction, which we'll get in, at the end of near May, we'll be into Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, and all that. So it's like, how can most of those students understand at least the very basics of what you're talking about and understand why this stuff is going on? So it's your experiences that get you. It's never the degree. It's how often you could use that knowledge from your degree so many times. Yeah. That's how I think your knowledge works. So let's say if you have a degree in this, but you have never used it, like in a job related field, it's totally useless. To me, it's useless. Like if you go into oh, I got a political science degree, and then you're like, wait, you just goes into YouTube. So what?
Yeah,
That okay,
yeah.
you got a piece of paper, but you have not used it. And look, I got a minor in biology, and it's been years since I've done biology. I know like some of the basics, but I'll have to like really look back into it. Just like with history, there's some things I got to reread on history because I want to make sure my kids are getting the correct info, and I want to start up some good conversations. So it's like it's people see that as a negative, like, oh, if you if you've been exposed to it, or you should know it once, you should know it, like you should never forget. I forget shit all the time. Like that's why I read through, like I read through stuff. Like that's the only way you get better, is just to continuously feed your knowledge.
We just put too much weight on these degrees. We put too much weight.
No,
Like the
yeah,
whole big
absolutely.
eye opener for me too was when Rate the Professor started becoming a
Yeah,
big thing, and one of my favorite teachers, and she was hard. It was impossible to get an A in her class. Like you had to. I just settled for A minuses because it was just too much work to get an A in the class, and a lot of people hated her for that and said rate her low. One of the best teachers I've ever had, and she absolutely was punished for it. Every one of those bad ratings, she had to you had to like maintain a certain rating in this stupid
yeah,
place that I was going to, which was just talk about like integrity or intellectual integrity down the drain. And whereas these other person, I remember it was, speaking of biology, it was one of my biology teacher, laziest person that I've ever met, the easiest class. I quit showing up because it was so easy. And then you'd read the Rate the Professor. Oh, this guy was chill. I came in late 5 minutes and he didn't care, type thing. Oh, we didn't have to take attendance. Blah blah blah. And now all these people are like, this person gets rewarded and pushed up because of how easy it was. That's one of the things people hated my mom when she was the swim coach, because she wouldn't let people, before she took over. It was basically the swim club. It was the swim. It was the party. Everyone let's go play around in the pool. And it was
yeah,
the thing that made it so popular. It was a co-ed sport in swimming suits. So so everyone loved when she took over coaching. The team halved. It went from a real we probably say like 50 plus kids down to 25, because she actually made them work and actually turned it
yeah,
into a team. And so people looked at like, oh, still to this day, you destroyed the swim program. You destroyed it. Like, well, we had people swimming 34s in 50 free, which is pathetic. That was like the
yeah.
school record for women was a 34, which I'm pretty sure one-legged people can swim faster than that. So and then now it's actually we have some pretty competitive little times there in this little 2A school, little tiny school in middle of nowhere, because someone actually came and put the effort into it. But it's almost like people hated it for it, and it's sad that we've gone that way um, with a lot of things.
I Yeah, I know one of my best teachers. When I was a junior in my spring semester of my junior year, we had this really hard teacher, Dr. Sarah Mahoney. I could remember her. She was probably, at that time, she was probably only about 4 years older than most of us in that class. Like you were mentioning, very hard to get an A in that class. And there were other classes with teachers who were teaching the same subject, although the tests were completely different. Subjects were still the same. One test, which wasn't ours, obviously, had all multiple choice stuff. Every single one of our tests were written tests, which means you had to write and defend your answer on every single question. I tell you what, that was the hardest class I have ever taken. I've only made a C in that class, and I was grateful to get a C. But I tell you what, I've learned more stuff from that class, and I still remember most stuff from that one particular class, and the way she taught it, more than like most of my other sports science classes. Like from that C grade that I got, I've learned more than like biomechanics or like sports administration. And I still use this stuff like to this day. Like I haven't forgotten about it because she taught it excellently, but also you had to like defend it. You had to like you had to take a personal matter on the hand. Like this stuff wasn't going to go away. You can't let it go for the week because it's going to be repeated. So it's like, it's also the intensity that the teachers like stress on it, especially when you're an adult, you know. So while that was my lowest grade that I've ever received, and I'm grateful to get it, I learned a lot, and I mean a lot from that class. Like there's very little from that class that I actually like forgot.
That's what
Just
education
because,
used to be about, though, was learning. It was
yeah,
about becoming a more well-rounded thinker. It wasn't about getting a job. I think that the education system, especially when you get into universities and college, they need
hmm
to rethink it big time, because it's ruining. Like a lot of people are like, we're never going to get another Einstein ever again, because it's just not, the pursuit of knowledge just isn't there anymore. It's all about the rat race. It's all about getting that degree. It's all about uh, hoop jumping, passing something, and they need trade schools back for that. There should be, even things like physicians, in my opinion, should be something that should be a trade school, and not a go get a four. It's kind of weird with both being a lawyer and a doctor. They require any degree, so any bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter what it's in.
yeah,
And then, in fact, if you get one not for being a physician or being a lawyer, if you get one outside of the sciences for being a physician, or if you get one outside of law for, like a lot of lawyers, they'll get a bachelor's in criminal justice. That's like the worst thing you can do now, because then when you go apply for law school, you're competing with a bazillion other people with criminal justice bachelor's degrees.
yeah.
Whereas if you have someone on that has an engineering degree, that is applying for law school, that looks a lot better, because it's something that's not just the kind of the cookie cutter route. So it's yeah, I have no faith in colleges now after my last experience with it, and now just talking to people that are going through it. Be careful with the term expert too. One of my most frustrating days. My dad's a physician, and I remember we were debating. I got really into psychology and nutrition. And I
Yeah.
remember we were arguing one day about some sort of, I can't remember what it was, some sort of nutrition thing. And I basically was like, "You're a doctor. You don't know anything about this. This is," and then he turned to me. He's like, "I'll take my degree against your associate's degree any day," just in the most condescending way ever. I'm like, "Wow, that
That's pretty
explains
messed up, Dad.
everything." I mean, that explains everything. That all of my research, all my private research, all the hours that I used to spend obsessively, all the books still on my bookshelves, just all these books on the topic that I immerse myself in, I guess, are useless because I didn't go get a degree. I didn't go to, and now I feel sad for all the kids growing up now. College tuition is like 3 or 4 times the amount that when I went to, just a few, like less than a
Yeah.
decade ago. And it's just a scam. And
It's a big business that, it's, and even our high schools, I mean, we're, consistently pushing it, and some kids don't need it. Oh, speaking of books, here, because I finally got my stand. All right. So like you were talking about books. All right. So this is just for so this is all the stuff for, give or take, for my sports stuff. So like with the football stuff, like this one I got from my old AD over at TM. He recommended me this book, and then it's like linebackers, wide receiver, offensive line, and then even the big one when I'm doing like I want to eventually get my uh, NSCA, my license for strength and conditioning. There's this exercise physiology book. There's this over here. I also got my world history book, obviously. So if I need to get up on the teaks, but then I have some more stuff. Don't worry about this. This is the history of video games. But all this is all like different football, powerlifting, track, like all the different sports. And yes, there is Goku right there. So, but yeah, these are all my books. And this is after I got. And there's even more here. So like this is after I got my degree, like probably about 6 months after, I got my degree. So I'm always like trying to find like more things to look into, because that's the only way you're going to get
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
So
It's sad when people do get degrees and that's the end, and that's what causes mental degeneration too. That's the leading cause of like Alzheimer's and just is not trying to pursue knowledge. We get in this kind of rut. I think it's after about we're 25, the learning portion of your brain, like the your brain quits developing, and so that's why you get kind of in this rut to where you don't want to learn new things because it's more difficult. It's not as
yeah,
uh, I'm trying to think of the term.
I mean that's very understandable. Cause like when I bought this, I was like 20. I was like 24 when I bought all this stuff. Most of them I've read. I think there's only a couple that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm still very slowly getting through them. But the thing is, what I also do, and this helps me out because I want to become more efficient, is that especially one of the smaller books that I read, I'll make summaries of each chapter. So if I'm looking through the book, oh, I just got my um like cliff notes, and I've just like look through, and before you know it, I could go through a whole book now from reading it the second time. I could get most of the core information in about 20 minutes, and like I'll even annotate some of the important pages, like with the equations, like the testing, like the parameters for when we do our off-season testing, and it makes my job a whole lot easier. But you're a life learner, and that's just for anything. So yeah,
When it,
I must have spent like between those books probably about just the two big textbooks. Those were like 150 a piece, and then everything else is probably like 20 to 25 bucks. So I would say I probably spent close to $1,000 on those books, trying to like just become better at my my craft.
yeah, so it frustrated me. I want to become a personal trainer, so I studied for the NASM, which
Yeah.
a lot of people fail their first test anyway. I missed it by
Hmm.
one question, and I was like, wow, that's the difference between me actually being a personal trainer right now, is one
Yep.
question.
Hmm.
Hmm. So if I could have just wung it and got lucky, or someone did that, then they would be a thing. Is I should have studied more. I thought the NASM was such a joke of a test. A bunch of the questions there's 300 questions, and a lot of times they look for very obscure things, and it was all
Yes.
multiple choice BS. Like one of them was how much was recommended, or how much caffeine could a person handle in a day. And then I remember I missed the question, so I was and if, when I was mad, I went back and looked at in the book in the text. It was one little line buried in like the end of a chapter, had nothing to do with anything because it wasn't pertinent to it. I'm like, why the hell were they testing on that? And that's just again, this is how degrees are earned, through these terrible ways of testing, terrible ways of teaching, and it's just hoop jumping is all it is. But
Yeah. Very, very minuscule information, and it's just when you have to make a 300 question test, I mean, you got to pull some questions
yeah,
out of your
yeah, I
ass,
guess there's
or
no
like or I should say from the ass end of a chapter, because that's you got to fill the other you got to fill the other 200 questions with something else. It can't be a standard 100 or 120 question test like most like certification tests. Like even my teaching test, my teaching licensure test, what the pedagogy test was 120 questions. Actually, I don't even think no, I take that back. It was actually less than that. The pedagogy test was around 70 or 80 questions. Then you get to the certification stuff. My history test was like maybe about 90 questions. My PE test, my physical education test, was about 80 questions. And then the social studies composite, which is like psychology, sociology, all the histories, geography, government, that was like the biggest one. And that was at 120 questions. And, those are like high end state level teaching tests, like teaching certification tests. Like you can't teach at a public school in certain subjects unless you have those. So 300 questions, they're pulling stuff out of their ass now.
Yeah, well, and it's very it's weighted towards people that are good at testing. Like my brother has what they call test anxiety.
Yeah.
My little brother's brilliant too. It's funny because I have 4 kids in my family. I'm the second. My older brother is highly intelligent, but he's intelligent in a different way than I am. Like playing games, I was always better. Like Magic, always better. Every competitive game we played in, I was always the quicker thinker, the more creative one. But scholastically, he was really good, and now he's got a job. He's a system analyst, and he definitely has his. But I would even say that if we had to take a subject and master it, or any other way that you would test intellect or the ability to learn, I would probably be the smarter one. And then we have my little sister who straight A's throughout her entire. She had a panic. She had to almost be hospitalized because she got an A- on one of her classes. That's how. But she definitely, if you compare her with my little brother would just be the genius compared to my little sister. But my little brother flunked out of everything. He doesn't have a college degree. He's the only one that even doesn't have an associate's degree in our family.
Yeah.
And the kid is brilliant, but the way he learns is not in this setting of reading books and taking tests, and that's what was the most frustrating thing with me about the NASM. The NASM is actually a decent program. I think they've done a good job. Are you familiar with that, the NASM at all?
Not like.
If you're going to be a personal trainer in most of the Western states, you have to get your NASM. That's the one that all of the gyms will require. A lot of schools require it.
Before I actually got the job offer at Toloso, I was actually looking into the NSM for the personal training stuff because I was actually going to try to get a job at one of the gyms over there, and the NSM I was looking into, but also at the same time, that's when I was also looking at the NSCA, and the NSCA, it's a little bit harder, and that's like a $500. Well, without the association stuff, it's like a $400 test.
Yeah.
So those tests were like, and I think the NSM, I think some of that, I'm not sure about it. I could have sworn it was on like the NSM stuff was on like the NSCA page, because the NSCA is like an association. So it's a whole like association, and NSM's for personal training. NSCA is for like, strength and conditioning for multiple school levels. So like if I were to get an NSCA, I would be able to get a strength and conditioning job at a college. And, with NSM, it's like, I would say it's a pretty good like certification, and there is a lot of information. There's a lot of good information with like some of the handbooks they come out with.
Yeah, they had all online. It was a course you're supposed to take over like 3 months, and a lot of video courses. They had a massive textbook, and then it had a lot of ways. But it was pretty good if you learn that way. But what frustrated me is that people can definitely wing it. If they like, all that was required is you take the course. And you could skip through it. It's so easy to fake like you've actually gone through the online stuff. You can just skip ahead. Like oh man, every one of my certifications for the school I skipped through like crazy. The driving certification, I'm not going through this crap.
That's how but that's how most stuff is. That's how like a lot of things are.
Yeah,
and there's really no true way to check it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just very difficult to do that. But why didn't it was a $700 program? Why in the world didn't they have some sort of like? I guess that's the problem though. Is trying to get, they'd have to pay a person to when they'd rather have you do a mock of what you're going to be doing. Wouldn't that be a better way to gauge someone's skill? Is to actually watch them in action, rather than have them take a stupid test. And it was just sad. It was sad to go. The entire experience was just like, it made me so frustrated, because then it also made me, again, look at a field and be like, wow, there's personal trainers out there that don't have any clue what they're doing. It's just they're able to jump through hoops. And see, I took on some clients. That's one thing with like the NASM is they have a whole legal team. So if you get certified through them and you get insurance, then you have some of the liability taken off of you because it's the liability gets put on their association. And so it's in this day and age with we can make or break a personal business if you get sued, especially by the sue happy. If you're in sports medicine, if you're in people that have already injured themselves, you probably have a high chance of lawsuits and things like that because it's just the nature of the beast. There's a lot of parasites out there. But I took on clients. I just got frustrated and took on clients, and they're I was able to help them out, and it's sad though. The big difference between a gym hiring me and not hiring me was a dumb little certification.
Mm-hmm.
So,
isn't it just amazing?
So all those watching, that's I hopefully one of these days this whole nonsense can change. But that's just when it starts getting on these large scales, that's basically the only practical way, I guess, of doing things. But anywho, we got tangent off pretty bad with this.
It's whatever, dude. I like talking. I
want to go back into history and argue with you about Abraham Lincoln.
Go for it.
That gets everyone's jimmies ruffled. That's two things I've noticed that you can't ever joke about, or not joke about. You can't ever question the narrative is slavery and Nazis, right? The two presidents that everyone wants to worship because of beating the Germans or beating the Nazis and freeing the slaves. But man, Abraham Lincoln and FDR are definitely my bottom 5. I saw in the comments there were people like Woodrow Wilson, or I think he actually gets a bad rap, but who are the real lame duck? There were some really bad presidents. You think Trump is bad. Trump isn't even the first one that's been a non-politician that has got elected. I mean, the 1800s were riddled with people that could easily just be popular enough to get the vote. But as people are saying, Hoover gets the worst rap out of any president. Go actually do your research on Hoover, and I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of feel good. Remember, the winners write the history books too, and so there was a lot of anti-Hoover sentiment that I think jaded it.
On top of that, you also have to see it from an economic perspective. Like when the economy is usually down, whoever the sitting president is usually has bad numbers, and usually when the economy's up, they usually have better numbers.
And a lot of times doesn't correlate. People give too much credit to the presidency. Yeah. I mean, that's the executive branch doesn't even really do that much to the economy. They can definitely negatively affect it, but a lot of that has more to do with just even business. Yeah, well, Congress, it's the legislative branch is gonna have a lot more power because they actually pass the laws. So. I know people always want to credit the presidency. Like I always think that people talk about the Clinton years and even now the Obama years. One of the reasons why the economy was so good is the government was gridlocked during both of those. There's nothing done. And then that's kind of if we go to that state again, that's usually when booming economies happen. I mean, that's the libertarian in me spouting that.
Yeah, and that's what I know. That's what we talked about earlier. Is that when the government really does not pass anything new, usually the economy goes up. So it's like, okay, just I guess just keep doing that. So Lincoln and Roosevelt, your bottom 5.
I don't know. It's just because I think I'm always like the person that if people hero worship something, I'm gonna be the one that comes and craps on it. So I mean, you name it. That's me. That's you can take this in other subjects, and I like to kind of play the devil's advocate with things. Lincoln just was a huge authoritarian, huge totalitarian. He was striving for absolute power. If you look at his policies, people are going to debate me on it, but he had people in his own party either assassinated or exiled. I mean, we're not even talking about the other party. We're talking about his own party because they were threats. Talk about the one I think Lincoln most represents, the House of Cards character. Kevin
Spacey's character.
Yeah. I know that it was Kevin Spacey was based on the Clintons, those two, the power couple. But
Yeah.
it's, and then same thing with FDR. FDR was a huge megalomaniac. He was someone that, and then he was very disingenuous, lied to the public. Just go cringe. Go watch his little propaganda about how Stalin's a good guy, because there was a lot of anti-Stalin sentiment at the time, and it took our
Hmm.
president to calm the American people down, because it was a necessary evil alliance to have with Joseph Stalin, because we thought that Hitler was the bigger threat. So that, and they knew. And then there's personal writings about how FDR understood the threat of Stalin, didn't like Stalin, but was willing, more than willing, to basically throw out a propaganda piece. And it's funny, we don't learn about a lot of these histories. I was blown away the other day when I actually started researching post World War II, and just the awful things that happened to the German people after World War II by the Russians, and even by the French. The French were awful to the Germans, and how we as Americans know little about European, just the way that the European ethnicities are so spread out. Like they have their countries. Like there's French people in Romania, for example, and there's Romanians in England. I mean, that's the entire. Does anyone watch the Peaky Blinders? That's one of my favorite Netflix series. It's going on like 4 series now. Recommend it.
Huh.
Peaky Blinders for everyone. But that's about a bunch of, I believe, a bunch of Romanians that are in England, in Birmingham. And same thing, like they could, I was interested, because we think as Americans that Germany is full of Germans and France is full of French people, when it was actually Europe is just so scattered with these ethnicities, and there were so many pockets of Germans that got kind of left behind after World War II that were just completely eradicated, for lack of a better word, after, just
Yeah.
because everyone hated Germans after World War II. And it was just awful. Like we'll hear endlessly about the atrocities that happened during World War II, more so by the Germans than the Japanese. But I mean, the Japanese were probably far worse than the Germans. With
Oh yeah, with the
yeah,
Chinese and the that was oh that was just they killed
and the
way more people.
experiments, we hear about a lot of things that happened in Auschwitz, but the Japanese did some messed up things in to the Chinese. Like they were obsessed with Siamese twins. A lot of these studies on Siamese twins that
Hmm.
they tried to, like, just there's, or identical twins, I think is the what I'm trying to think of. But yeah, just the Japanese were just brutal
Yeah,
to the
but the
Chinese.
Nazis. Yes, yeah. No, I know the Nazis were into the identical twins for sure.
Well, the Japanese like to use them as case studies because they shared the same genetics, and so they would put one. They do one brutal tested other, and then do another one to another one. They try to like look at the differences in it. Some of the I can't remember the code for what they used for the the testing center. It was really brutal, but it'll make your skin crawl. But in the history classes, we didn't learn much at all about it. And then post World War II, we didn't learn anything. At least my school system didn't teach us anything post World War II about just the issues with uh, kind of rebuilding Europe. I think we'd skip right from Hitler to now to East Germany, and there was a
Well,
huge gap in between. Um, that and the French, just the French were so brutal to the Germans post
well,
World War II.
I can make that simple for you because you know why you don't learn it because it wasn't on the standardized
Yeah,
tests.
it's again though, it's just sad though that going back to kind of Travis Wu, how he gets exiled, just playing devil's advocate about the entire subject, whereas or it's, and it is a controversial field actually. You can be jailed in 13 countries for even just questioning some of the literature that's out there, and we've actually caught a lot of the trials post World War II. We caught people lying about people. I remember they executed the guy that just sold chemicals to the German party or the Nazi party, even though they had no association with it. But it's like, you sold the chemicals, we're executing you. They were killing anyone even loosely associated. Talk about witch hunting with the entire the Holocaust, and you can't even question anything about that. Where we've been caught lies about the turning them into candles, or what was it, saddles or leather seats, and we've done now we have genetic testing and found that was completely fabricated, and there were people
Yeah.
executed because of this. Eyewitness testimonies, supposedly eyewitness testimonies, and they executed people because of things we now know were false. So we can't even play devil's advocate, and it's just it's I don't know, it's kind of going back to full circle now that we've got it with Magic too. That's what it seemed that kind of happened with these last little scandals. It's even questioning the narrative will get you kicked out. So yeah,
Listen and
listen, believe.
believe.
But
Thank
anywho,
you, Dankula.
I think we're over your time period. I said I wouldn't keep you past 10, and now we're.
Nah, I'm good. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Anyone have a topic you want to talk about besides us going off into tangents?
I'm trying to like, holy crap! Like 1,000 things just showed up. Holy crap!
So, what are your future plans? What are you working on now? You said you've experienced some burnout with YouTube.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Oh god, the burnout happened like probably right after Christmas, after I released that how Magic players play part 1 and 2. Only took me a couple hours combined, and I was just bored. But it's like, man, I don't want to do all the research and stuff. It was Christmas time, and like it's just like you have to get ready for family. You have to like doing presents and the freaking like Christmas tree and like all this stuff for like everything. Like I got so exhausted during like Christmas. There's like such a high expectation for Christmas. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's just like I slowly found myself not having time to like do the research for. Let me see, because I think I already wrote your script for Fifth Dawn, so I was kind of ahead, and the plan was to like, okay, I'm just gonna take like a week off and kind of like resettle, and then a week turned into like 3 weeks, almost a month. So I released a video last Sunday, and just to do my little try to get back into one video every 10 days or slowly get back into the 1 week a thing. But it's like, yeah, like Christmas and New Year's, it's just like, because it's like while I was off for 2 weeks, I felt like I was still doing stuff because there was still stuff that needed to be done with family, presents, friends, getting the house ready for Christmas Eve, having my parents' house for Christmas Day, decorations with my parents. It's just, yeah, it was busy. So I felt really fast. And it's just like also seeing like, with the ad revenue and stuff, is like, or just like the gains and the losses of like subs and all that. It's like, yeah, I probably need a break from this, or I'm going to just like, okay, I'll take a week off. And like I said, I just got to the point where
tough. That creative burnout is just, it's brutal because it's, I don't know how some people can do it. I guess that they're a lot better at, when it becomes your job, I think it's a lot easier to stay on focus too. But like, well, I even found that with coaching. Like when my heart wasn't in it, I was the most worthless coach. And it's same thing with YouTube. It's tough for me to go through the motions when that creative fugue is happening, and a lot of people get upset. They're like, "Why aren't you creating content? Why aren't you?" It's because you just can't. You have to be in that mode, and I think we all experience it. I think you're coming close onto your year and a half, so that's gonna when you start YouTube, it's still something that's kind of new, and it keeps your interest. But once you've been doing it for quite a while, you definitely are going to go through those ruts. So
yeah, it's like a lot of creativeness with like very little benefit, and it's a lot of work too. So there's some days where I do like doing the research and looking more into it. But then it's like trying to put together, you got to do this, sound and audio, the music, the pictures, editing, and making the thumbnail and making sure the video goes through and double checking if there's any mistakes. And it becomes a process. And I'm trying to make it easy. Like right before, like during football season, like I still had some energy left during football season. I was coming home at like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And I'd be finding myself at least committing an hour to like for that day, at least getting pictures or making the script or making part of the script, doing a little bit of sound here and there. And before you know it, I was still getting stuff out for a week. and it just seems like it's not a lot of benefit right now. So, but I think it's starting to curb a little bit. I'm just gonna go at, for me, it's just like, well, my stuff's based on history anyway. So people like I think I have a lot of good quality backlog. So it's like, I'm just gonna kind of do this at my own pace. So if I release a video every week, awesome. If I get it every 10 days, that's fine too. But I've accepted that I'll just release a video whenever I can.
Yeah.
And that's just it, it's less stress on me because I'm stressing myself over this too much.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of the problems that I was having. So I think I've just come to terms for at least right now. I think maybe the summer that'll change it, but I'm just going to do this on my own pace. If I don't get a video, I'm not going to stress over it because I already have enough stuff on my plate that I don't need to worry about. So I'm going to still do the YouTube thing. I'm just going to I'm going to take more time on it and, just go from there.
Well, I think there's a push for the YouTube algorithm to change to stop being so. It's really rewarding over 10 minutes and daily is what it is. So if people push
Yep.
over 10-minute content every day, retention is not that even big of an issue as total watch time. That's why a lot of times streams do very well. A lot of the low quality content that just is clickbaity that gets a lot of people's eyes. So in Magic the Gathering terms, a lot of times that's box openings,
Yeah.
things like that. It doesn't really care. It doesn't do a good job of all it sees right now. The algorithm, all it really cares about they see that as engagement, even though it doesn't lead towards better content in the long run. And there's been a lot of push by the Game Theorist did a great video on it where animation. There's a difference. Animation is pretty much killed right now on YouTube because it takes, for them to produce like a minute of content, takes them a week or a month to do when they're
Yeah.
animating everything. So they used to produce these highly high production videos that took forever, and then they just get completely killed by the algorithm because like, oh, you haven't produced anything in 6 months, and this video only is 5 minutes long, so we're not gonna. It isn't relevant. We're going to continue, even though you have a ton of subscribers, we're going to keep you as more of like a new channel type thing. And so it's the algorithm has just punished these sorts of things. So there's a huge pushback. Like it's funny though, because people end up exploiting the algorithm. It used to be views was the king.
Mhm.
So it almost turned into like Vine, where if you could just do a 1 minute short clip and get the views, you would be rewarded. And we
Yeah.
had an entire era of almost like a Vine type YouTube. Like, well, that's when the fights, the practical jokes and the fights used to be really, really popular because they could be short little clips, and then they would be clickbait. They'd get views, and then they'd push the content on. And now it's all, but yeah. So one of these days, YouTube's gonna find the sweet spot, hopefully. But right now, it's killing creators or people like you that spend a lot of time on their videos, can't release them at a cyclical manner, like daily especially. There's no way you could do it when you're especially doing your collaboration type stuff. It took me a month and a half to get you audio.
It's all good, dude.
It's just absolutely, yeah, it just absolutely kills channels like that. Whereas though, if you get on and open a pack a day, like all these, I see a ton of these like little, let's see what we got in the mail channel today, and open it and stuff like that, and they just getting rewarded. So I don't know. And I'm not saying that content shouldn't exist. It's just it's when people are only doing it to exploit the algorithm, where
Yeah.
it will create this feedback to YouTube that this is what viewers want, when absolutely that's not what viewers want. So yeah, I don't know. If anyone is interested, go watch the Game Theorist video on it. He goes in depth about how the algorithm's just killing creativity or killing certain aspects of the platform. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because he released that last year, December 2016, I think, something like that.
I don't know if it's that. Has it been that old that he's been?
I'm pretty
I know he did an
sure it's
update
that
on.
old already.
I think there might be an update to it.
Yeah,
I thought the one that I saw was more recent than that.
I about to say there might be an update on it, but the one I saw about the watch time and the daily stuff was like last year, I think. So like December 2016, give or take. So it's yeah, I think it's around that time. So
Yeah. Well, that's what when Gathering Magic's channel was struggling, they plateaued really bad and they were hemorrhaging subscribers and their view count was just dismal on some of their videos. That I recommended they put all of their videos together. So what they used to do for me is I do a deck tech and 4 games. And then what that was doing though is it was showing audience retention and watch time on those later games. People would just want to skip. A lot of people would just skip around just to see the
yeah,
result because they saw enough of it by game 1 or game 2. So then they would just skip around. So those last few videos would get very low views and the watch time would be dismal, and then it would punish them. And also, 5 videos released on the same day, that would almost be considered how a YouTube algorithm was doing it was as almost spammy. So they would push it down even more. And it's led to their channel just completely like capsizing in on itself. And then when they spread it out to posting that 1 video a day with the 5 videos condensed into 1, their watch time got up because some people would just let it run in the background, or they'd get, oh, I'll keep watching it. There wasn't a set stop point like there was on other videos, and their channel started recovering. So, for people that are trying to do video or try to make it in this YouTube business, knowing the algorithm's a huge part of it. But at the same time, it's frustrating as a creator. It's frustrating to me to see channels like John or like Chris's have struggled to get over what, the 500 sub mark or whatever. What is John at these days? And
John, I think I think he was closing in on 300 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I was gonna. Oh,
and some of those interviews were really well done too, like really well done. And same thing, like Chris had me on a kind of interview like this too, and it was just he did his little had a little questionnaire and things like that, and it was really engaging. And it was something that I'm like, wow, if we would have hosted this on my channel, I think this would have been a really we would have had a lot of views. And it like petered off at 50 views. Got 50 views for that entire thing. And I'm like, this is just it's sad with how YouTube has kind of devolved into the news channels. Like it's really rewarded news type channels like Jimmy, or comedy channel like Jimmy Fallon type style, where it's a daily thing.
Yeah, and they're used to it because they do it on
They
their
have a production
own
team. Yeah, they have clips that they can just take that were already used somewhere and throw it on YouTube. So it's anyway, that's my beef with YouTube at the moment. But my channel's back to doing well. I think it's because I just started doing these live streams, and the algorithm likes it, and it pushes people my way. This live stream's been a little bit low. It's weird too. It's so hit or miss. There's some days I'll log on, we'll have tons of views, and I won't even change the content. And other times it peters off. But anyway, any other questions in the comment section so you can get us back on topic?
But say there was
they're arguing about.
Oh, they
gender.
were on like they were on like a whole bunch of stuff. I see a random question. I said, random question. Do you think Giant Leaders is a viable format? I'm not even really familiar with Giant Leaders.
I don't like restrictive formats. I think that Tiny Leaders failed because it was so restrictive, and then they didn't even try to. It lasted for like a couple months. There was a website involved with it. It's funny that copyrighted the name. Like they went all out on making sure no one else could have anything to do with their format. And it was just and then they didn't update ban lists. They didn't really cultivate a community with it, and it fell flat. The concept was okay. The implementation was okay. The outcome, it just needed a lot of changes. And I think they were not willing to do the work that needed to do. Popper is restrictive, but I think works because it's a restrictiveness that with the history now of 25 years of Magic, there's enough to do with it. I still have problems with Popper because it seems like really it's low power as far as like uncommons, rares, and mythics were created at a certain power level for a reason, and so that leaves you only a certain way to play the game with a lot of 1-drops and 2-drops and like spot removal, not a lot of sweepers. And I wish that they'd print some commons that had a little, because if you look at the power level of Delver's huge on power level. So you could create something at a common that just did some sort of mid-range value just to at least put that into the format, and I would be into it. But I think I got off a tangent on that.
It was, at least we were talking about Magic
Yeah, I
this
know. At least we
time,
got on Magic.
and not exercise physiology or history. Oh my God, that's awesome.
I'm not going to talk about how do we repair a dog's ACL.
I'm not a veterinarian, so
I've been researching it. It's weird. Just I think we screwed dogs up. All the research I've done on it is that the ACL just isn't constructed correctly. Where the tibia meets the femur is just not a. Talk about evolution. Dogs were forced evolution. So humans actually, a lot of things that we bred into dogs are actually, look at German Shepherds. That breed is completely done for. They have so much like hip dysplasia, and just their backs are terrible now. A lot of them aren't even living past like 5 or 6 because their backs eventually cave in. It's all because of terrible genetics and terrible breeding. But anywho, poor Scout. If all you don't know, my dog tore his ACL, and it's just a mess to deal with because dogs are so active, and it's something that's probably going to require surgery and a lot of rest. I don't think that dog knows how to rest. So
yeah, well, that's there's a lot of dogs that don't know how to rest. My parents' dogs, my parents' dog doesn't know how to rest or shut up for that matter. So it's a little rat terrier like chow mix, I think. So it just
a rat terrier chow, that's like a huge breed with a tiny breed.
I think I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But it's like, oh my God, it's like probably about. It's not that big of a dog, and it just never shuts up. I'm just like, oh my God, can I like kick this thing? Let's see, Kevin, are you going to review submitted decks ever again?
One of these days. I still get a lot of emails from people like, look at my deck. Well, a little bit of transparency here. I've been getting kind of headaches, and you might see I'm a little bit loopy in this interview too. So reading text for me right now is a little bit. I have to motivate myself to do so. And so when people submit me a bunch of deck lists, they're like, look at this deck. It's like, I get bombarded with this. I don't know how to explain it better, but that's been the biggest issue right now. But it also gets kind of like Travis, who hit it on the head. If I start reviewing one, I feel like I need to review all of them. And then it becomes like a full-time. I'm not joking how many decks I receive. Like, I don't want to discourage you. A lot of times I'll look over people's decks and it'll actually lead to some creativity of my own. But I don't know. It just becomes too much of a task. That's why I've allowed it to be a Patreon tier. Like, if people actually like want me to guarantee that I'll look at their deck and review it and do something on it, there is a Patreon tier. At the same time, I feel kind of guilty for that because it kind of seems a little douchey, to I'll only look at your deck if you pay me. But it literally is. It came to the point that it was taking too much time per day when I need to be focusing on a lot of other, things with the brand and whatnot. So I don't know. Don't ever feel like you can't email me a deck list. Do it. But if I don't respond back, please don't hate me for it either. So,
I mean, it's like a lot of times the way I see it, it's like, it's kind of it's a form of work. So, and it's like, if you want to try to get all that and help the community, I don't see a problem with like, having just a Patreon tier. It's not like I guess you are indirectly asking for money to review a deck, but it's, and I guess we're coming back to Wedge on this. I feel like with some of the Wedge memes that come out over the years, like, like especially Jeremy did the Wedge memes, like, oh, give me money. That's how I'm seeing his channel now. You're not doing that, by the way. So I think you should get paid for your work if you're doing stuff like that, like, and giving it seems like you're giving a good detailed report about it. I mean, you should kind of get paid for that. Because it does, to me, it sounds like it takes a lot of time. So,
yeah, and Ross, definitely keep doing it. It's one of those things that, like, I've actually found there's been some awesome decks that have been sent to me, and I've been able to take them further. And like that's why I started the Rogue Deck Builder, is try to cultivate that because I think there's just too much of the spike in Magic. There's a bazillion articles. I'm sure today you can probably go read a bazillion articles on Grixis Energy. Like, probably every site has done one. Star City Games, Channel Fireball. Prove me wrong. If there's not an article written about Grixis Energy this week, I'd be very surprised on every one of those platforms. Or with the Pro Tour coming up, there will be a bazillion different how to play. Man, there's a guide on how to play any modern deck in this day and age, but there's little brewing going on. So I want to cultivate it. I want people to continue to do so. But I don't know, a lot of times I don't know if I'm the right person either. I wish I could get some more people on board of, like, that's why I tried to start the Reddit page to try to cultivate other people giving advice on and I in all honesty, I don't think I'm the best person to take an existing deck and refine it. I'm a good start from scratch, not a good refiner.
Yeah.
So.
Like what was that? I just had and I was just gonna say, and I'm over here just I just want to harp on y'all's nostalgia strings and just like, here's the stuff from like 1995. Here you go. Just I want to like play to your childhood and maybe you could get some views and subs. I'm just saying. So, like I like brewing and stuff. I wish I had the time to do that. I would do it like on MTGO, just kind of throw some ideas around and then just try to play along with it. But it seems like this season is just like, I try to make like black white vampires, which now that Rivals came out, I'll probably try that again sometime this month.
Got the Lord now.
So,
the Lord's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look into that and just see what I could do with it. But yeah, like, when I first started in the cons block, the one thing I like doing, and this is what got me hooked on the black and white, was the black white warriors deck that I made. And that deck has gotten me. I've never gone 5-0 with it. The closest I've got was 4-1. But that thing was super consistent, and it was so fun. It was such a fun tribal deck that I had. Now I tried to do an Abzan version of it, and stupid me went 3-2 and forgot to add Siege Rhino, and I'm just like, why did I think? Because I guess I wanted all my cards to be warriors, and this. I think at this point I was only playing for like a month, that I should have just stepped aside the warrior aspect and have just put it and just gone ahead and put in Siege Rhino and just, at least like 2 or 3 copies just to like kind of compromise with myself. But didn't even think about it. And then Siege Rhino, was like the best card for like 2 years.
It would be banned now if it was in modern day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Modern day, how they ban cards.
That was such a fun card. Oh my
Siege
god,
Rhino?
I miss Siege Rhino. Oh yeah.
There's a funny history. Maybe you should do a video on the history of Siege Rhino sometime.
How many players have said the F-bomb when they saw a Siege Rhino?
Well,
that would be.
It had a design. It kind of shows a disconnect between the design team and the actual how things play out, because Siege Rhino was pushed for reasons to try to balance the format. They were trying to figure out what the format was going to be like. It was trying to balance against cards that never even saw the light of day. One of them was enchantment. Whenever you took damage, you put a 1/1 out. Like if you took damage at the end of the turn, you can put a 1/1 soldier out, I believe. And they really thought that it was going to be the Bitter Blossom of that time. So they needed Siege Rhino to be something that could push through it. So they made it a bigger body and gave it trample. And it originally was a kind of a lackluster card, if I remember correctly. And there's some interesting stories behind Siege Rhino, and again, just the design team. And that's why everyone keeps talking how, standards can be fixed next. Dominaria is going to be the first time they actually added a playtest team. There is not enough resources for Wizards of the Coast. Now, here we started the very first video of me just harping on Wizards needs to put more resources in things. Now, I'm insulting Wizards for thinking they can put resources into something, but they could never create enough resources in a team to try to figure out a format that has access to, like, MTGO is going to solve the format quick because there are just massive amounts of players simultaneously figuring it out, rather than just, a dozen, 20 people? Even 50 people? 100 people? You can even get it into the thousands. It's not going to compare to it. And they're never going to be able to find out Hopefully they'll be able to identify Saheeli combos this time around and not have that just slip
Yeah.
through. But it's too much to ask for Wizards to try to do that. So I think that bannings are probably the only way they can really. And how would cons have been if they would have banned Siege Rhino? Would we have had a format that was more robust, more innovative? I don't know. A lot of people seem to like that.
To be honest, I like the cons block.
Yeah.
Like, I like the cons block. Um, I also liked my set probably that I liked also was Battle for Zendikar. Just because I think, and mostly because of Gideon.
Oh, that card.
um, and then I want to say after that, like I wasn't really too big of a fan after I liked Shadows, and then when I got to Kaladesh, the vehicles were cool, and then it's like I don't know how I feel about this right now. Like,
Yeah, vehicles were weird. It was just it kind of warped the way that Standard played. And then we didn't have a lot of answers for them early on, so it was very awkward. Now it's the exact opposite. Now people can't even play a vehicle without it getting immediately abraded. So,
yeah. And then let's see, Amonkhet. I think the big thing I liked about it was the bicycle lands, some of the god cards, because it was kind of like a little shout out throwback to Theros.
yeah, but you say some of the
Um,
god cards, man, they missed the mark again. Maybe the playtest team will identify that and give them credit though. Spoiler season, everyone was hyping up Bantu. Bantu is the next. It was I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I believe Bantu was pre-selling for the highest, and the articles were all written about Bantu. And that card ended up being now it's like I believe it's the cheapest god if you even can include the Scorpion god.
Scarab God now.
No, I think if you can go
Or
back into
Scorpion God.
Theros, either Bantu or Scorpion, but Scorpion God's actually playable. I don't know what people. It's just always in that color combination that is tough to have any card see play. They've made a lot of powerful cards in Rakdos that have never saw the light of day, like Underworld Cerberus, for example, was a really
Yeah.
good card in Theros, but it was just that color combination was so weak. They just both do the exact same thing, red black. What? Bantu's $1.99 right now.
Dang.
Yeah, so I mean that's how bad it's and I've tried to play with the card and it's just so tough. Whereas at least all the other gods have at least seen some sort of play. Rona saw a lot of play for a while. Hazoret has seen a ton of play, and that's the one everyone was knocking on when it was spoiled. And then Kefnet sees some modern play even because it's still powerful enough. And I believe, yeah, and yes, we have Ronus and Oketra's seen play as well before. So, but yeah, Bantu is unfortunately, I think that I'd like to hear the history with how that card was designed because I'm pretty sure it got probably nerfed, somewhere down the road, for what it does because the 2 mana to have to sack a creature to scry, and then give menace to the lowest powered god seemed kind of really awkward. It gave black
Yeah.
this big toughness body on a card that wanted to be attacking. So it's kind of a fail of a design. I liked Amonkhet. I liked Hour Devastation. I think it was just unfortunate that it got sandwiched in between now what's looking like now everyone's like, oh, that's why Ixalan was the way it was. It's kind of like Ixalan and Rivals were reversed. Usually you get the more powerful you get the pieces and then you get the support cards. This time around, it seems like Ixalan was more of the support cards, and then you got kind of the nuts and berries from Rivals. And now it makes sense. But as far as like Hour Devastation and Amonkhet, they were just sandwiched in between 2 sets that I think are just more powerful. Because they had some fun little mechanics. I liked Eternalized and Embalm. I wish they would have made Embalm a little more viable. Like Sacred Cat Sacred Cat and the Vizier of Many Faces were really the only ones that were like worthwhile. They overcost a lot of those ones, and then Eternalized though had really good ones in the set. But
Yeah. I also for me it was Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. That was not the starter deck version. So having 4 abilities and each one of them looks pretty dang cool. So I'm not gonna lie. So and then
It's been
which
lackluster in Commander. It's been lackluster when it's funny because I don't think that I've ever lost a game, Cube even, when I played the old school Nicol Bolas, was it the 8 mana one
yeah.
from. This one around, though, I don't think I've won a game by casting Nicol Bolas. I think I've lost all of them after it's hit the field. It's just
Dang.
been a lot of the modes have just been not relevant at that state of the game. So it's I don't know. It's still though it's a balance card at least. It didn't warp the format. It didn't push everyone to just go for this. My biggest problem with like 7 drops and 8 drops, is they want them so badly to be able to affect the game when you play them. They push them so bad that when it just wins the game. Look at
Yeah.
like Emrakul that had to get banned, or even like Ulamog. It's they could have basically put anything on the card that just said spend 12 mana, win the game, type thing. So, yeah, Nicol Bolas. Now where's this lore at with Nicol Bolas? I'm so. Let me see if I got this straight. Here, you guys can make fun of me with how little I know. So the whole Kaladesh is for Tezzeret, who I thought hated Nicol Bolas, but all of a sudden doesn't hate Nicol Bolas anymore. Because didn't we end the Scars block with Tezzeret hating Nicol Bolas and realizing that Nicol Bolas thought he was expendable and was just going to sacrifice him to the Phyrexians? And then all of a sudden now he's part of the lore going to Kaladesh to find the what was it, the Paradox engine in the or is it the engine and the
No, it
the
wasn't the
gate,
planar.
planar bridge.
Yeah.
So he gets that, so then they can go to Amonkhet and make a huge army of the undead to invade where? Is it Dominaria? Because is one of the Elder Dragons still alive? Is Arcades Sabbath still alive? Is that the whole thing we're all leading
Oh
up
God,
to?
Cybin would be perfect for this.
I don't get it. I'm so lost.
I think Chromium was taken out for sure. Because I'm trying to think of the legend. I'm trying to think of the Legends episode I made. Okay, who's still alive?
Vivictus Asmati was dead too, right?
I
I
believe
thought
so.
there
It
was a
was
couple of them that are one like lost their. I think one is like not dead, but is also not alive. Not really, like they're in a stasis, right? Is that Arcades Sabbath? Are you
I
lore
wish
people?
I wish Cybin was in the chat right now because he would have probably already told us by now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know.
Because I know Cybin did something over Chromium, or he might have just did something over all the Elder Dragons, including Nicol Bolas. So
And where's Ugin at and all these things? Ugin told him not to go to Amonkhet. They like, we're going anyway. And now where's Ugin? I guess it will all come full circle. I wish they would actually be the problem. They have too many writers, and then they've also put on writers that aren't qualified to be writers. So that's another. That's funny. They got their way of dealing with that is then to hide the author. I thought
well,
that was hilarious.
For me, it's like, oh, bad writing. Oh, just go watch Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm like,
And it looks
just
good.
see what bad writing looks like.
And you know what? Speaking of that, I didn't mind Star Wars: Last Jedi as much as I minded Force Awakens. I thought Force Awakens was the worst movie ever, and The Last Jedi, at least I was entertained. I think that if they actually would have ended The Last Jedi, where Kylo Ren reaches out his hand to Mary Sue. If Kylo Ren would have reached out his hand to Mary Sue and then it would have ended, credits right there, I don't think I would have minded the movie. I think that when they try to go further after that scene is where it got awful. So.
Oh, but then it's gonna, once you get to episode 9, once they get back to that scene, all Mary Sue's gonna do is just flip her hand and just like, okay, that's done, that's it.
Yeah.
Just like with Luke, like throwing away the lightsaber. Just like, oh, we've been waiting for this for 2 years. Oh, click. All right, goodbye.
Yeah,
it would be something ridiculous like that. But good thing for episode 9, J.J. Abrams comes back. Even though I know you're not a fan of the Force
Force Awakens
Awakens,
was awful. There's just nothing to Force Awakens. They just rehashed everything. Let's make a bigger Death Star. Let's bring back all the characters and just talk about nostalgia. That's all it was nostalgia. That's why I love the whole South Park. The entire season was ragging on Force Awakens, and it was the whole reason why the member berries. If everyone's a South Park fan, that whole season was that season 20.
yeah,
The entire thing was just ragging on the Force Awakens. That was, yeah. I'm typically more critical on things that, going back to Abraham Lincoln and FDR, maybe they weren't the worst presidents ever, but since everyone was hoorahing them so much, I like to return a critical eye on them and say, wow, let's hold up a second. And that was my problem with Force Awakens. Like it came out of the box at a 9.4 rating on IMDb. Oh, come on. That movie was not worth 9.4. It was like I don't know if it made it better or worse that I was with Zach, and Zach was just sitting over my shoulder the entire time, just like ragging on it. We were both, I think I was face palming the entire Force Awakens, and Zach was making fun of it. So that was our experience at the movie theater. I didn't watch the Last Jedi in theaters. There's no way I was spending money on that. I found some Spanish version on the dark webs and
awesome.
watched it through someone's little cell phone or whatever. But yeah, there's no way they were getting my money.
Oh my God, that was such a, to me Last Jedi was an awful movie. But I will say this, I really enjoyed Rogue One.
Me too. And the thing is, I came into Rogue One wanting to hate it because of Force, and I was told not to watch it. People, when I gave my little spiel to people about the Force Awakens, everyone was always like, "Well, then don't go see Rogue One." So I didn't. I think I waited like 6 months before I watched it, and then I was pleasantly surprised with it. And then a lot of people are criticizing it because they just didn't like the tone of it. They didn't like how morbid it was. I'm like, you can't dislike a video for that. If it's well done, it's well done. The people wanted the good guys to win in the end. Okay, that's too bad. And I think it was actually pretty. There was some things that were stupid with it, but it's Star Wars. Every video with Star Wars has some.
Yeah, it's not gonna be perfect, but I really enjoyed Rogue One. That was such a cool movie. There wasn't a lot of people using the Force. You have Darth Vader doing his spiel at the end, and then Donnie Yen. I don't know what Donnie Yen was doing, but Ip Man was like badass in Rogue One, doing his thing. But it was like a good mix of trying to regain, trying to strike back at the Empire and trying to take down the super weapon. And like a little callback to, A New Hope. So it was, with the battles were choreographed really well. Like the rebels actually taking cover and fighting the stormtroopers, and these different types of stormtroopers coming out for different terrain, and just the overall mess. Now, with Jin's, some of her speech was a little bit weird, but what got me was when the rebel council was like, no, we're not going to go. And a couple of them decided to go anyway. And then the whole team just doesn't listen to council. We want to go with you. That I was like, oh my God, I love this movie. This is awesome. It's like a small number going against the odds. And it's just little by little they're gaining some traction, and they might actually do this. That's what got me, was that scene, was when those random dudes just came up, was like, we want to go with you till the end. So that's what got me for Rogue One. So that was a heavy hitter right there. So
yeah, well Ross brings up the Star Wars movies. The last one have been littered with SJW bull. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I think there's better instances to call out. I'm not a big a person of just sweep everything because was there agenda? Possibly. I did say Mary Sue right there, which is an anti. If people actually look up that term, that's the term for uh, usually a character that doesn't need to prove anything. They just tell you that it's competent. In this case, a Mary Sue is a woman that can do anything better than a man is a Mary Sue.
Yep.
And
Well, no. Well, a Mary Sue, like what I've been looking into is that a Mary Sue is a character in literature that she's like over. She gets pretty much she gets what she needs with very little effort. She's like this overpowered
yeah,
character
yeah.
essentially. So it's her gaining the Force and learning how to use a lightsaber better than Luke in a matter of short time. Now, what I would, and this is me going back to like becoming nostalgic over KOTOR, was that if they found a way to do it where, with like Revan and stuff, where they like wiped his mind and the Jedi like, retrained him, they retrained him as a Jedi and not not being the Sith Lord. That might be a pretty cool idea and like raise just this, oh, you used to be like this evil assassin or this evil, Sith or this evil dark Jedi, and something happened, and now you're like, you don't know who you are, you don't know who your parents are, you don't remember your past. That would be cool, but I don't think they could pull that one off. Like if they do the Revan thing, that would be pretty badass. I would like, okay, this makes sense now. But the way it seems like they've gone, it's, I don't know. But I've only watched it once. I might need to watch it again to like kind of find some more stuff. So we'll see next time next time I see Last Jedi, I'll tell you all about it.
Oh
So,
wow, you're a glutton for punishment if you want to rewatch bad. Man, there's so many good things out there. I can't even rewatch good movies because I'm like, I've already seen it. Speaking of
like
terrible,
I don't want to take my experience even more.
Let's
see, KOTOR, OMG, yeah, KOTOR is one of my favorite games. Let's see, also
Knights
the
of the Old
criticism.
Republic. My friends used to play that so religiously.
Yeah, well, and they're still making like updates for like the PC version of it. It's still worked on it, and graphics, like when my brother plays them, the graphics are just beautiful. Let's see. Yeah, I just saw this. The movie was littered with SJW Bull. Anything better than the established canon characters. Ensign Sue is a better leader than Kirk, smarter than Spock, etc. Also, in some cases, everyone wants to be with her. And then this Brian Bear person, is Revan canon? No, unfortunately, Revan's not canon unless they establish it in the next movie. I don't know, but very little people are going to know what Revan is in the movie because some of those people don't play KOTOR. So. But.
Too bad John's not still in the stream because I could rag on Walking Dead.
Well, it's still okay. Like for him, it's 9 o'clock still. I bet you, but he's probably he's right now. I bet you he's probably putting because he's got 4 little ones, or he's got 3 little ones and a teenager. So he's probably putting those kids to bed.
I'll have to get him on stream. You'll have to join us too. We can do a 3-way. How about that?
That'd be awesome. Did you hear that The Last Jedi did terrible in China? And wait, what's your beef with The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead was the same episode over and over, and I got like 4 seasons. Okay, so it at least lasted 4 or 5 seasons with me before I discussed. So every character in The Walking Dead is the same character. There's nothing different. Yeah. The only thing that's different is they're one's a black woman, one's a white man, one's a kid, they're all the same though. Their personalities are all the same. There's no variance in their personalities, and the story, every episode becomes the exact same loop over and over again. So I gave up on The Walking Dead, and then now Netflix is recommending this garbage series that I watched 1 episode of called Colony. My God, that was bad. Oh, Netflix, stop. Did anyone have ever seen Colony? Because it's got the lady from Walking Dead, the mother. What's the season 1? What? I can't even remember the people of The Walking Dead. Carl's mom.
Carol, yeah.
She's this main character of the colony that is supposedly, we don't know what's going on, that others have taken over LA. And now, how come now we have to have the whole LA episode? One of the things I hate about Marvel, oh, this is going to get me in trouble with people, is I can't send, or not even that, but movies for a while, but Marvel especially, is they're so New York centric. Like everything's got to be about New York. New York's so much better than the rest of the world. New York, everything happens in New York. The whole world must not exist because
Yep.
New York just exists. And if you've ever met New Yorkers too, they kind of have this attitude that there is no such thing as the outside world besides New York. And then now we're starting to get this LA garbage. It's all about LA, and that's how Colony is like. LA's walled in, and everything's about LA, and LA's got to save the. Oh God, I don't know. Maybe it's about being a flyover state. It just makes you so pissy about coastal states, or at least New York, the whole New York or LA scene. But yeah. That's my. But Colony was so bad. Do not watch the first episode. It was. I'm sure Zach's can come screaming in because Zach's likes bad shows. We always argue about some of the things that. What was the one that I hated? Well, I always get beef for hating Firefly. Apparently, I can't be a nerd and hate Firefly because that's just like the worst thing in the entire world. I'm a heretic. Did you ever watch Firefly?
Yeah, I enjoyed Firefly and
man.
the Serenity and this the movie Serenity.
Oh man.
I enjoyed it, but what sucked is some of the way some of the characters in the movie like went out. I was like, man, this sucks. But I wish they made more seasons. But one of the reasons why it did bad when it started off in Fox was that they put the episodes out of order. And they were making like episode 1. They made episode 1 show up, but then they made episode 4, and then like 2, and then 7, and it was just all mixed up, and it screwed up with Fox's rating of Firefly. And then Netflix got it, and I watched it on Netflix, and it was in order. Well, I looked at it, I was like, man, this is a really good show. Why is there not a second season? This is kind of an older show. And then that's what I found out about all the stuff when it was broadcast. So. It had a little interesting story when I was like doing the research for it, when I was just like looking up the information. So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series and the movie, even though it was only one season, unfortunately. Oh boy. So
how about Battlestar Galactica?
I actually want to get into that.
I watched every episode of that. It was entertaining enough. The funny thing about Battlestar Galactica is it's riddled with a lot of Mormon culture. and so I get a laugh out of it when when watching the episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my professor, the guy I play D&D with, him and his wife are big. They're big Battlestar Galactica fans, and so they're wanting to get me into it. So I'm gonna have to find some time to like do that. We might have to cut some Carnthology episodes to watch Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to look at. Okay, we'll go let's see. We can go about another 5 minutes. Let's see. I'm trying to look.
Any questions last for Coach since we've rambled so much? Any last questions you have?
Now the real question is: have you seen The Room?
The Room.
+1 respect for TDB, RDB. Okay, serious question time. R plus L equals J.
What do you guys think? TDB is Zach, by the way. I'll have Zach tell his story sometime. We were in Vegas real quickly and we were all on the strip, and this guy comes up with his paraphernalia, the pamphlets they pass out, and of course goes to the gay guy of the group, and Zach's like, no thanks. They're trying to give us like free club access. And this guy's like, what's the matter with you? Titties don't bite. And it was just the running joke that out of all the people in the group, that's the person he was trying to convince about.
Man.
So anyway, so Zach's TDB, Breyer. Anyway, I interrupt you.
Don't bite. Oh, I'm just looking at let's see, Brian Bear saying, okay, serious question time. R plus L equals J. Yes. Game of Thrones.
I thought we confirmed that, right?
Yeah, that was already confirmed. Aegon Targaryen is Jon
Are
Snow.
you big into Game of Thrones?
Yes,
Did you not like the last season?
I enjoyed the last
Because it
season.
just wasn't Game of Thrones though. I mean, it was okay, but it's just kind of, to me, it just didn't feel like Game of Thrones. It almost felt like they were, because the whole thing with Game of Thrones has always been dark. It's always been the characters do the opposite of what you want them to do, and that's what makes it good. Like, you want to like the characters, but you can't. You have to hate them. By the way, if you're into that kind of genre, go check out Joe Abercrombie. I can't recommend Joe Abercrombie enough to people. He's my go-to fantasy author. He hasn't written a book for quite a while, I don't think, but the Blade Itself trilogy is really good, and then some of the
Yeah.
spin-offs of those. But it's the same thing with those. Is it all the characters you want to like them, but you can't, because they're human. They're morally ambiguous. They don't fit into these tropes. These stereotypes of good versus bad. And I just felt like the last season of Game of Thrones was just too clear, black and white.
Well, but I also see it as like, it's got to be more confrontational. There's got to be more conflict because they're getting closer to they're getting closer to the
Yeah.
end of the show,
Well, it feels
and
pushed
two,
too. It feels like they're trying to complete the show, and it,
well, they only have so many episodes,
yeah,
so that's kind of the last two seasons. It's a 13 episode crunch, so now they got 6 episodes left. So if you want to talk about episode compounding, it's going to happen this next season, pretty harsh next year. But I think my favorite episode actually last season was where episode 4, where the Lannisters are fighting Daenerys and the dragon comes down. That was awesome. And just freaking the dragon just decimates everything. I was like, I want to see more of this. And it's just, but they only showed it once. And for me, that was actually enough. And then they do it again when they go to the Night King and go try to rescue Jon in that. Really, the Lannister battle was like, damn, this is awesome. So, and then they give us a little tidbit, and then the frickin' one of the dragons dies, and now it's like, okay, zombie dragon, ice beams. All right, we're ready to go.
have you ever read any of the
So,
books?
I read the first one.
I
I haven't read
See.
the.
I tried, and I thought his writing style was awful, and I just couldn't get into it. I got a couple pages, 30 pages into it. I'm like, nope. I don't know. I've been pretty critical of books too. A lot of people, again, I lose my nerd card a lot because of what's the sci-fi one? The sci-fi book that started it all. Uh,
Foundation?
no,
Like Asimov?
no, the Mormon guy, Orson Scott Card. What did he write? Oh, jeez. I haven't even seen the movie of it where Harrison Ford's in it. Jeez, why can't I think of the? Someone in chat,
Blade
tell me.
Runner?
What's that?
Blade Runner?
No, Ender's Game.
No.
There we go. Ender's
Oh,
Game.
Ender's Game. There you
Everyone
go.
talks a big talk about how Ender's Game was so well written, and I thought it was one of the most awful books I think I've ever had to trudge through. Just because it's the epitome of lazy writing. So we're knocking on Star Wars earlier, but I can't be, as a reader, I can't stand being told, what to think, how to feel. And Ender's Game is riddled with that. It's like Ender is the smartest person in the universe. Okay, show me, don't tell me. And I think that's what it kind of like. I wouldn't call myself like a Harry Potter fan, but I've always been very, or even like My Little Ponies too. Like people, I checked out My Little Ponies to see what all the fuss was about. It wasn't
Yeah.
type thing, and I was very impressed with how good how well written the show was, and it was kind of the same thing with Harry Potter. So I don't always crap on what's popular. Sometimes I actually do. And Game of Thrones I thought is well done too. But the books were just something I couldn't get into.
For sure. Let's go with, let's see. I'm going to check one more time and see if there's any Blue Eyes White Dragon. Ender's Game. Well, you think The Last Jedi is good. Kevin, again, you're allied with feminist nerds again. Orson Scott Card is homophobic and racist. The problem with R plus LQJ in the books, Tyrion supposedly meets the real Aegon Targaryen with the Golden Company. So it'll be interesting how George R.R. Martin justifies that. But they'll utterly murder you for dissing Harry Potter. That's awesome. your fans are just like,
They're
oh,
they're terrible. They all need to get banned from Magic.
all lifetime bans for
Yep,
everyone.
lifetime bans for everyone in that is subscribed to Rogue Deck Builder.
Okay, let's see, it is 11:09 where I'm
Yeah,
at.
you got to get up early too. Don't you do early morning?
Well, yeah, it's like, well, this week I'm heading into the classroom early just to get everything ready. Tomorrow we got to do benchmarks tomorrow, so we got to see where the kids are at as far as like the content. There's our standardized testing again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna prep my class for benchmarks and we'll just go from there. So I'll probably get up at like 6 or 6:30. Because Portland's about 25 minutes away, so I'll be there by like 7-ish.
Yeah, you keep saying Portland. I'm like, you're not in that area though.
Well, yeah, I was about to say it's
Wrong
right
Portland.
across. Yeah, it's right across the bridge from Corpus. So there's the Harbor Bridge. So if you go to Corpus, it's northeast. You cross the Harbor Bridge, and then you go into a little bit more, about 3 miles on the land bridge. And then you get into a city like a 19,000 person called Portland, and then about 4 miles down that same road, which is called Highway 181, it goes into Gregory, Texas, which is our school is called Gregory Portland, so that's why they named it that way. So Portland's about 19,000 people. It's starting to boom a little bit because we got this Chinese tech company in a couple years ago, and so it's starting to become a little bit more prosperous. So the community's getting a little bit more money. The school's getting a little bit more money from the property tax. So yeah, but Portland, Texas from here is about 25 minutes, so it's not that bad of a drive.
Oh, I was just thinking when I kept saying Portland, I'm thinking Oregon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go visit Nick. So there you go.
Didn't John move in that area too? Where'd John go?
John is in Seattle.
Okay, yeah. I knew somewhere north.
So he is backyard of Wizards of the Coast.
I know. He should subscribe to their ideology so he can get promoted.
There you go.
Oh. Anywho, well, it's been fun to have him on. We'll have to shoot the breeze again. Get some other people on. Get John on. Get Tasty on. Where is Nick? It's probably
for sure, dude. I'm
Wednesday?
down.
He's
I'm down. Yeah, I'm down to do another stream. This is like easy for me. I just get my iPad, put it on these little stand that I just bought from Amazon a couple weeks ago. I bought 2 of them for both my iPads. So yeah, this is really easy. It was only like $15, and I got it Prime, so that was nice. So but yeah, I'm down to do more streams like this.
Well, yeah, just keep in touch, and if anyone is interested, I guess I will be the guest spotlight for your next video.
There you go.
For 5th Dawn, which I actually learned a lot about because that was a set that I did not play. I quit in Darksteel. Darksteel was the last. I think I went on a mission. I don't think it was like a forced quit. I just think I kind of left the world for Jesus for a couple of years. Highly do not recommend doing that. But anyway, it was fun to have you on, and yeah, we'll do this again soon.
Dude, Kevin, thank you so much, man.